Hello and welcome to the 26th Planet Destiny podcast. I didn't fumble it over this time. I actually read it on the sidebar of the Planet Destiny website where you guys can, converse in the topics and chat discussions there. Anyway, thank God Bungie finally put out a weekly update, and we have stuff to talk about this week. But before we get into that, we are joined by the usual cast. We have Briar Rabbit, we have Pope Bear, we are lacking a Tefty this week because he's very, very busy with real life stuff. So we're also joined by none other than very new contributor to here at Planet Destiny. We have M-Tash, Michael Tash. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi. I'm not as enjoyable to listen to as Tefty, but I'll try my best here, guys.
Well, thank you. You're a very knowledgeable PvP player, which will come in handy today because this weekly update was all about weapon balances, and there's a lot of them in there. I think we're going to try to cover all of them here, so if you're listening to this on a nice ride to work or mowing the lawn or something, this might be, a multi-session podcast. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but anyway, before we get into that, Bungie has a new employee this week, don't they? Pope Bear, you know more about that shit. Talk about it.
Well, we're getting a new community leader, and TTL Cosmo is a guy that we've known in the community for some time. He is the founder of the Destiny subreddit and has been heavily involved in the community since Destiny started. It's just great to have somebody there to help Deej out. I think that that's been a common complaint by a lot of people in the community that their questions aren't being addressed. It's really because the job is just gigantic, and bringing Cosmo on board allows them the opportunity to have more people to address some of those concerns. And I think that the way that they put it is that Cosmo will be there to be the direct voice of the community. And so he's shown that through the Destiny subreddit that he knows how to be that voice, or to gather voices together, and he's there to aggregate them and get them together and filter through them and give that message directly to Bungie. And so the way he puts it is, my job is to be your voice, or at the very least your interpreter, filtering the fire hose of information on Bungie.net as well as other social media. He'll be empowering all of you to keep creating great community content that we all have enjoyed throughout the year. So I'm super excited. He's a friend of mine, and somebody that I have always thought would be a great addition to Bungie. Mm-hmm. And it's really great to see him moving forward. So congratulations, Cosmo.
Big congrats. And it is worth noting that he did step down as his moderator position at the Destiny subreddit. So there's not going to be any, the Destiny subreddit is now controlled by Bungie shenanigans going on. It's just he's stepping down so he can pursue this awesome job.
Yeah, the Destiny subreddit, in my opinion, seems to have always been pretty well run. Mm-hmm. So, bringing his skill set into a community manager setting seems like a natural fit.
They keep the toxic discussion kind of not, oh yeah, we're gonna put down all toxic discussion because only good things can be said about Destiny. No, they allow it, but they also don't let it get out of hand. So the only things that are being said about Destiny are bad things. During the Red Bull promotion, Luke Smith, and then there's something else that happened that week. I'm sure whole shitstorm that happened. Yeah, they managed that very well, kept it to mega threads, so we could, if there was something that we were actually enjoying doing in Destiny or had a question, it wasn't going to get unseen. So
completely buried in the
bad. One of the things that I'm concerned about, and this is just a natural thing. Mm-hmm. I know he has some really good guys that he counts on there that are that he's handed over those duties.
K Lobster and Mr. Woodhouse.
Yeah. So I just hope that without him, without his guidance and being a part of the Destiny subreddit, I'm really excited for him to move over to Bungie, and I'm really happy that we're going to have him advocating for us within the walls of Bungie. I'm also concerned that the Destiny subreddit continues to be that strong voice for us as well, that continues to be managed, and I'm sure it will be, but that's just one of my concerns.
I wonder if he'll get into the Bungie forums at all.
I imagine he will.
You can count on that.
Yeah, that's a place that I still rarely go. But
No, yeah.
Oh, I have a feeling that he's gonna get his feet wet and kind of get the lay of the land, and you're probably gonna see the Bungie forums change just a little bit, and maybe adopt some of the tools that the Destiny subreddit has. I'm guessing that we start seeing that some of that functionality.
Yeah, one of the reasons
on Bungie.
One of the reasons I don't like going to the Bungie forum is just because it's really difficult for me to navigate.
It is difficult.
Yeah, it's not set up in a way that I would normally browse a forum. It all seems like it's just one giant cluster of Destiny information into other sub Destiny. It doesn't work in my head. So that's one reason why I never really got into it.
Because I'll post on there here and now, throw some videos up there. Sometimes I'll post it, and then like 9 hours later, I'll get 50 views and comments and stuff all at the same time, and it's like, what was it doing for the past 8 hours? And then like my montage, I posted it like a week ago. It's still getting comments here and there, and I'm just kind of curious, like, how long is stuff relevant on that? Forum,
does
you know?
Does it work out on a normal bumping setup,
And
where
it
if someone
might.
posts something, it gets bumped further up?
Right, you can get it to the top of the list. It's just like a stream of consciousness that it's long. Whatever's the most recent goes to the top.
Okay. Well, that would explain why when I wasn't even working for PlanetDestiny during like the first day, it was like the second day of the game, I got the exotic bounty for Pocket Infinity, and I was like, how come it's not working in the Nightfall? And then I realized I had to be doing it with fusion rifles to get those kills, and then I still get comments saying, hey, Holtzman, do you still need help with the Nightfall? I was like, that was 8 months ago, before I was even known.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully my hope is that one of his duties is going to be to work with Bungie.net people at the engineers at Bungie and help create some tools that becomes another viable source. I know there's a lot of people that like it already, but if we can bring some of the functionality of the Destiny subreddit over to Bungie.net, I think that would benefit us greatly.
Definitely. Anyway, moving away from Cosmo, very well deserved promotion promotion to Bungie now. Let's get into the meat of this weekly update. Actually, the entire weekly update is just one massive steak, much like the one I had last night. And anyway, so weapon balance changes. They're finally addressing it in this weekly update. Let's see what we have. First, right off the bat, we have auto rifles. And before we even get into the auto rifles, they kind of mention about damage fall off and how that is an actual stat that they can adjust now, which, thank God. Maybe the range stats on the weapons will actually seem to mean something.
This stood out, Patrick, too, because I was like, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, that's why this took so long.
and I mean, I think before, one moment, John Wisniewski, sorry, I always mispronounce that. The last time we had one of these, you could see how much time and effort he put into weapon balancing and how serious it was. This must have taken him a lot of time and effort to pull it together. I know
so thankful. I know
a lot of us were chomping at the bit waiting for this to happen, but this isn't something that you can just slap together and throw out the door to the next update. So I'm really happy that we're seeing these significant changes.
I love data, and this is full of data. Anyway, so first off, they said auto rifles, they're going to be adjusting their damage fall off, so it's going to really feel like a close range weapon, and you're going to visibly see that damage fall off. And they have a little picture of a captain getting hit, and at close range, what I'd call that the tail end of close range, he's being hit for 19 damage per shot, and then at what I'd call
long shotgun range,
I'd call the next picture down probably
mid-range,
a little on the further end of mid-range, not necessarily to long mid-range, but just tail end of mid-range. He's getting hit for 15 per shot, and that's about where I'd probably say most of the encounters will occur with a primary. It still looks like auto rifles are going to be more balanced using this new damage fall off thing that they're implementing. One of the biggest complaints I had was that the range stats on the weapons weren't representative of the actual range of the weapon. Note the last word and Thorn, they have very different range stats, but they feel very similar for the most part. So the goals for auto rifles were auto rifle is optimal at close to medium range. Damage, stability, and range are tuned such that players desire stability for close quarters damage or range for better accuracy and increased damage at a distance. And then elevate auto rifles so that there are a more competitive option in PvP and simultaneously more satisfying to use in PvE. And then the changes that they're putting in are increase base damage, start damage fall off closer to the player to emphasize its role as a close to medium range weapon, small reduction in base stability, landing shots at an optimal range is unaffected, but repeat precision hits require more weapon control to land consistently, and then boost damage by 10% in PvE. That was a mouthful.
Can we do a hip hip hooray for this, or
yeah,
premature?
I mean, yeah, hello, about time. Here's one question that I want to bring up, because there's 2 photos on the internal test in the weekly update. Is it just me, or do you get kind of like a danger feeling when you look at the first photo? Assume that captain in that photo is this is PvP and that character has a shotgun out.
Yeah.
Like, you're dead.
That's shotgun range.
He'll get to you
absolutely.
before you can kill him every time.
Yeah, you're done. So my big question is, are these changes significant enough to make this a viable close quarters weapon?
Pope, if I may, even if you're looking at those same images, I sounded so professional there. Okay, so in the bottom image, you see the captain. He's standing away from that wall, any cover that you could possibly have. Auto rifles might be okay in situations like that, because you're going to have constant fire on this guy doing the maximum DPS. But if you're playing up against a skilled player, someone who's popping in and out of cover, auto rifles will never be competitive. The reason why is because if I, am using a hand cannon, I can pop out for a fraction of a second, do 89 or 75 or 94 damage to your head in 1 millisecond, pop back into cover, and wait for my next shot. Where the auto rifle user, he needs a constant stream to do any sort of DPS. So in kind of those higher skilled trades where a better player, if you will, is popping in and out of cover, auto rifles are always going to lose. If you're in a nice dogfight, one-on-one, doing a little strafe battle, they might be competitive. I really do think they'll become competitive, but only in open battle situations.
And that's really where I was focusing my question on. I could see the auto rifle becoming that close to medium range lane support weapon, but I don't see it winning the close quarters combat.
Well, we'll have to see, right? Because shotguns we'll talk about later, but if shotguns get a range reduction and that captain has to get closer, we keep referring to this picture. We're going to have to show it in the video. I hope we can do that. If that shotgun user has to get even closer than what we're used to, hopefully that'll give the auto rifle more time to get that kill. We don't know what that increased base damage is going to be.
True. But I think visually what I'm looking at is, you're right. My mind is triggered around what I'm used to playing right now, and that first photo is danger for me. I'm toast, So if that's a Fellwinter's sniper range right there, and so I think that you're right that we're going to talk about shotguns a little bit later, and let's hope that range is greatly reduced. But I'm still concerned that the auto rifle at close range needs, I wanted it to be a run and gun viability,
I think they need to take out that whole auto rifle is optimal at close range. I don't think that doesn't exist. That doesn't make any sense. The only weapon that's optimal at close range among the primaries should be a hand cannon, in my eyes.
The difference between an auto rifle and a hand cannon, like MTash was saying, is that with a hand cannon you can pop out, you can fire those shots. I would say a hand cannon is going to suit itself more to a high skill player, but auto rifles are so sorely missed by the rest of us, let's say, because we can just point those things and shoot instead of having to concentrate on 3 things: maneuvering, aiming, and timing my trigger pulls. I can eliminate the timing my trigger pulls and just focus on 2 things, which is aiming and maneuvering. So auto rifles and auto fire weapons in general are much easier for beginning players to use. You know, players who don't spend all their time or aren't higher skilled like some of the other guys are, you know? Getting an auto rifle buff is going to be huge for the community because it's going to allow people to get kills who normally are just like so turned off by the Crucible because it's so dominated by high skill weapons and very fast time to kill weapons.
I completely agree with you there too, because I think, and that's the thing that I find really sad is sometimes you go on the Destiny Reddit and it'll be like, I hate the Crucible. The fact that someone is going and saying, I hate something in the Bungie game, like a primary component of the game, that's kind of a kick to the nuts. Like, I feel so sorry for them because I find so much joy in the PvP, but I completely understand that if someone who is new to the game, new to PvP, and comes in and gets decimated by Thorns and Last Words and there's no counterplay, there's no reason or way to have fun. So I think bringing back some more of the general players, people who like to use auto rifles and have fun with PvP, I think it's going to make everything better for everyone.
I agree with that.
And I'm gonna throw it out there, and I know this isn't exactly what you were saying, Briar, but auto rifles are not. I mean, I think there is a high skill component to auto rifles that is important for team gunplay. So what you're referring to is high skill on a one-on-one gun engagement, gunfight. Auto rifles serve a purpose for a skilled team as a suppression weapon that helps to knock off shields and close down lanes. So there's a reason for the tool. It doesn't necessarily mean that the player wielding it is higher or lower skill. It just means that its purpose should be to maintain control in a lane in a firefight, and it'd be used as a team shot weapon. So I personally feel that I love auto rifles and I love to use them. It takes a lot of maneuverability, a lot of skill to maintain your target on the trigger as you're moving around, bouncing around, and getting those shots. So I would argue that precision is more important for a hand cannon or scout rifle, but maneuverability and weapon control are more important in an auto rifle. So it's a different skill set. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily less skilled weapons.
I don't mean to imply that just because you use an auto rifle, you're less skilled.
I
But it is a friendlier weapon to less skilled players. And ultimately, I'd like to see everybody have an option to jump into the Crucible and have a good time.
Right, and I think I just needed to clarify because I
agree with you.
The message that I was getting across tonight.
I also like to see the boost damage by 10% just to AI combatants. So we're getting an overall increase to base damage, but we're also getting an additional boost to damage for AI. So they'll even be more useful in PvE play, which is great because they're completely useless in PvE right now.
They're an absolute joke in PvE.
It's so rough to try to actually kill something. Even when I was just leveling up the summoner, it's like, it takes, a quarter to a third of the magazine to kill some tier 1 enemies. If they have a shield, it's going to take the magazine and change to take them out. It's just, that doesn't make for a fun weapon. So, and one of the things that they said they're trying to do is make auto rifles more satisfying to use in PvE, and making it so my shots feel like they actually matter makes it more satisfying.
So one of the things I'm really excited about when I read this update is that my inventory slot through all this time has been dominated by there's 3 spots that have been used up. Very valuable real estate have been used up by a Vanquisher and a few other choice auto rifles that I've kept and nursed along and since vanilla Destiny and spent Etheric Light on, and I am so excited to be able to pull those out because I love being that support player in control matches that uses the auto rifle to get to help lock down a position. So I'm really excited.
I'm looking forward to seeing the Summoner, how that plays.
It's already
fun to
strong.
use.
It's already so strong.
Yeah.
It's going to be a beautiful gun, and I'm really excited that I have all 3 damage elements for PvE.
Should we move on to Pulse Rifles?
I think we should.
All right, the goals for Pulse Rifles. Pulse Rifle is optimal at medium range, but can still effectively engage enemies at close or medium-long range. Rate of fire sets a pace for players to track moving targets and then deliver precision damage in bursts. Pulse rifles should feel strong in PvP, but don't become the only competitive option. Additionally, increase their efficiency as a PvE weapon. So the changes they're actually making reduce base damage of the medium rate of fire by about 2.5%, which is interesting and kind of hard to exactly know what they mean here. PvP, burst to kill all precision hits is 2 or 3 depending on victim's armor stat. Small reduction in base stability. A burst should still land all shots at optimal range, but 3 precision hits will require more weapon control to land consistently. Increase magazine size for all base inventory stats.
This is an interesting set of changes.
It is. It's kind of hard to.
There's some. It brings out more questions. This particular one for me brought out more questions than answers for me.
The only thing that I can be like 100% agree with is increase magazine size on all base inventory stats. Like,
I think that's great.
That's great. Yeah. That's fantastic. I understand what that means, but everything else is just like watching, the entire series of Lost. I left with more questions than I did with answers.
My question is a medium rate of fire weapon, is that Red Death or is that
like what constitutes that medium rate of fire? Like I want some numbers here, like which range is it?
Yeah. And examples would have been really helpful.
Yeah. So,
because Red Death has a faster rate of fire than something like the Summoner,
Messenger
can still kill in 2 bursts.
Does it?
The Messenger, yeah.
The Messenger. Sorry, my bad.
It's all the medium rate of fire archetype ones. So the Messenger and Red Death are still in the same archetype because they still right now technically kill in 2 bursts to the head.
So they're a low rate of fire one, right?
Yeah, they're the low rate of fire ones. So I'm thinking it's that in between one there. So like what would that be? Spare change would be one, I think.
Yeah, I think spare change is one.
Yeah.
And then the low ones would be like the one you could get from
the low ones are
what's it called?
Oversoul
Edict. That's the high rate of fire.
The high rate of fire ones.
That's the high. Oversoul Edict is the high one. Yeah.
Praetor's Timepiece, Oversoul Edict.
Well, one of the things that when I read this, the biggest question that I had was why. Just for pulse rifles, are we reading that there is
an armor thing,
armor stat variance?
Yeah, that doesn't seem very consistent.
It leaves
That's
a
what
lot
leads me to the Red Death, though, because that kills very quickly because it's a 2-burst kill. If that goes up to a 3-burst kill, depending on the victim's armor stat, then it all of a sudden, like the Red Death is interesting, and equipping your Guardian is interesting. Like, I
don't like this change. If they're going to be changing an entire weapon class to be kind of based around armor, then that's going to even further make people really want to spec for more armor in PvP, which the majority of them do now, anyways. This whole post that they made is kind of confusing to me. I'd hope that they maybe can clarify it.
I agree with you that I didn't like the way that they wrote out the changes because we're not seeing specific examples of it, and that I'm concerned that they're not being consistent across the game with how damage is placed. Specifically, if we're targeting pulse rifles as based on the victim's armor. I don't know. Does it mean that Titans with the slightly larger armor stats are going to be more powerful now?
Is the RAM going to be
has the RAM
absolute...
just gone way better now too?
Right.
But isn't that what you want? I mean, don't you want a decision between agility and armor?
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right, bro. That's
I guess
good.
The only thing,
but I would like that outlined here.
Sorry, I guess the only thing that slightly concerns me about that is, okay, so let's say we're looking at Halo. 3 body shots to the body, 1 to the head, it kills you. You know it's going to kill you every single time, and you can get better at the game and perfect the craft, and you know exactly what you have to do to kill the other person. If they start changing it based on armor rates, you're going to commit to a fight and be like, all right, I got this guy killed in 2. And then all of a sudden he doesn't go down and you have that extra shot that you weren't anticipating.
That's what
and
frustrates
it really
people.
confuses a player, and it's hard to optimize and get better at the game when stuff like that happens, right?
I see your point here, but I disagree with you because I think the whole point of having that armor stat is to make that decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I want to be agile, I want fast recovery, I want to be jetting around the map as fast as possible, or no, I want to be a tank, I want to sit back, I want to make sure that it takes as many shots as possible to damage me. Right now, that's not really there unless you're playing with the Warlock class, and I think it'd be nice if it was there.
Adds a new dimension to the game. It makes the armor matter.
Right.
It makes if Bungie had been intending this from the beginning, it actually realizes that intention because it wasn't there before.
No.
If they're making this intention, then they also need to make agility a little bit more powerful. And I would say, maybe, I don't know.
I think agility is pretty powerful with blink and shotguns.
Yeah, I would argue that a spec'd out agility blade dancing hunter with blink is pretty powerful.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So we move on to scout rifles?
Let's move on to scout rifles, because this pulse rifle talk is just going to lead to just more confusion.
We don't know enough yet.
So
I don't know anything about this.
Fundamentally, when we look at the pulse rifle section, we have more questions than answers, and we're looking forward to them clarifying a little bit more of what that is. So moving on to scout rifles, the goals for scout rifles were scout rifles perform best when landing paced precision shots. Rate of fire and optics are tuned so that scout rifles are a little harder to use effectively close range. So the changes, the way that they outline them, are the increased base damage for medium to high rate of fire scout rifles. So they increase the base damage for medium to high rate scout rifles. And in PvP, what that means is it does not affect the time to kill in PvP on a Guardian with full health. So I want to talk a little bit more about what that means. It increases they increase the magazine size for all base inventory stats. They reduce final accuracy when firing from the hip. Fast firing outside of ADS will be less accurate. And boost damage by 5% against AI combatants. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
I like all of these changes. Scout rifles
I agree.
Like, scout rifles I've been slowly moving to that for some reason. As the type of primary that I use in both PvP and PvE. So the plain boost by 5% against AI combatants, that's fantastic. The increased base damage for medium to high rate of fire scout rifles, I'm interested in it, and I think what it means in PvP, it doesn't affect time to kill on a Guardian with full health. It means that it's still going to be the same number of shots to kill, but there's still going to be slightly higher damage values.
So if you had a Guardian that had 200 health, you could increase the damage from 24 to 23, or from 23 to 24.
Yeah, essentially.
Not actually increase the number of shots, but increase
it's the same reason that Thunderlord is a 4-shot kill for both body and headshots in PvP.
Right.
It's like 55 and then 66 or something like that. So yeah, I'm thinking that's what that means. Is we're not if you're starting a fight now, like before and after the patch, start killing someone, hit them the exact number same times. It's going to be the exact same number of times. The numbers will just look different.
Well, so some of the questions that I'm having when I look at that, there's always the exceptions to the rule, right? So what happens when a Weapons of Light bubble gets placed and a player using a scout rifle pops out with that weapon's damage? Now, is that a 2-shot kill?
Tough to say now. I wish we had more numbers.
So, right. It would be nice to have the damage numbers in this, like actual grids and scales. I know that maybe a lot of people don't read these updates in that way, but I know that I do. And what I'm looking at isn't there damage increases from hunters when they get precision kills and stuff like that?
There's no damage increases. There's
accuracy increases.
There's stability increases and reload increases.
That's right. Okay, so the only real class that we see that adds more damage is a Titan's Weapons of Light bubble. Right?
Yeah. The only other thing I could think of that would change things are combos now. So 2 body shots from a Mida plus an arc bolt, is that going to kill you? little things like that, because
that's a good question.
Until we can test it and play with it, it's kind of sucks because that could be huge. That could be a new meta weapon because of the speed you're getting from it and the mobility and the fact that you can do some quick body shots, throw a grenade, and then blink around or something like that, and save yourself from some damage. Like there's definitely some more competitive stuff you could do with it if it does have that damage and grenade combo like the Thorn does currently.
I was thinking of Mida exactly when I read this. Mida is going to be an extremely powerful tool, especially with the damage boost in PvE.
Yeah, that 5% isn't huge, but hopefully it'll help one-shot more things with a scout.
Mm-hmm.
Hand cannons?
All right, yeah.
I guess, I'll take over here. So with the hand cannons, the goals, they want to be optimal at close to medium range. I think that's always been the goal, and thank God they're kind of hopefully moving it into that. Especially for the exotics. We want these shots to be paced and become less effective when fired quickly. They did that the last patch, but not quite enough in some cases, like especially for Thorn currently. It rewards agility under fire, precision targeting, snapshots, and the hand cannons cannot be competing with scout rifles at a range, which they currently compete with everything. They're just so good. So the changes, what are they doing here? They're going to have a fall off closer to the player, kind of like what the auto rifles are doing. I think it's going to be a little bit more severe with the hand cannons, I'm guessing. So I'm guessing, if it's normally a 3-shot kill to the head, if you're at a range, it's going to bump up to 4, maybe even 5. It's really tough to say without the numbers. There's going to be a reduction to the ADS, or aiming down sights accuracy, at a long range, especially when snapshotting. So what this means is if you are quickly aiming in at someone and then pulling your trigger, it kind of takes a second for the accuracy bonus to kick in. So you're not going to be quite as accurate as you once were when you're doing that quick shot down the map at someone who's sniping you or something like that. The accuracy when firing from the hip is being reduced. That, for the most part, you don't hip fire too much with hand cannons unless it's last word. And then the reduced magazine size. That's actually interesting because some of the small guns, like the Fulcrum, I think, has like 7. So what does that mean? Does it have 5 now? Does it have 6? The ones that have 12, does it only have 10? Does it have 9? Like that really changes things for both PvE and PvP. What about the Fatebringer? What's going to happen to that,
Yeah, that's one of the changes that I understand that they wanted to separate scout rifles and hand cannons by making scout rifles have more ammo, so, it has more ammo. Then making hand cannons have less ammo, that you're doing two things to try to achieve the same result, and it might achieve it too well. Back in the alpha and beta, it was so difficult to use hand cannons because I think all of them were like 4 to 6 shots.
Right.
And now, if that's going to be the case, where a lot of them are going to be approaching that, because a lot of them are like in that 6 to 8 shot range for the most part.
There is one more change. Let's get through that, and then
what's
so
the other
one
change?
Is
Sorry,
the reduced base optics. So that's just the zoom when you're actually aiming down sight. So this is going to make those long range engagements harder as it is.
I think it's important when you're reading this one to remember that the exotic hand cannons each get their own changes later. So we're gonna talk about the exotics separately. So while we're talking about hand cannons now, I think it's important to talk about legendaries.
Right. Okay.
And reducing the magazine size of legendaries, especially in PvE, is really gonna hurt them. Really bad.
I agree. I like some of these overall changes, but it feels like they're applying them to the wrong places. Legendary hand cannons are not overpowered and they're not blown out of proportion. It was simply the exotic hand cannons that were, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing here is they're really handicapping a whole genre of legendary hand cannons that could have been viable without these changes.
Mm-hmm. I am completely okay with limiting their long-range lethality and reducing the base optic zoom. I think those are both great changes.
Perfect.
That makes it feel like more of a close-range weapon, like what they're trying to achieve. But that ammo change, doesn't feel necessary when you add all those other changes into it.
Now, what it is going to do is going to make, you asked earlier, what is it going to do to Fatebringer? Well, you guys know as well as I do that Fatebringer's, one of its beautiful things about it is the reload speed.
Yeah.
When you spec for fast reload with some of the armor of hand cannons,
It's near instantaneous.
It's near instantaneous. So I think it's going to further bump up those legendary hand cannons. That it's just going to really marginalize some of the average hand cannons because that would have been good with these changes. But now it's going to be clear that if you've got a legendary hand cannon, you're using Fatebringer.
You kind of need the Outlaw now, because if you're going to be only getting 3 or 4 shots, or you're going to get 3 or 4 shots less to optimize your DPS,
Right.
you need to be having ammo in your clip, right?
Yeah, and
Right.
you're going to need armor that allows you to carry more ammo. It is important to remember that this is going to come in Update 2.0, which is going to come right around the same time as the Taken King. Talking about weapons that we have now probably isn't going to apply for long.
Well, that's something that I hope that we will have time to talk about, and that's something that's come across as a big question from our Twitter followers. Is do we think that they're going to leave behind year 1 weapons? And it's something that I know we're going to move on to shotguns right now, but we will circle back around and talk about this because I know it's on everybody's mind right now.
Yeah. So right now they start out there's this big nice long paragraph, and they're like, yeah, we tested shotguns and they were great except for like those.
It's a mea culpa.
And anyway, they're like, but then we accidentally put Fellwinners in and yada yada yada. So anyway, their goals for these shotgun changes are, they're saying shotguns are most effective at a very close range. Yup. Complements melee attacks and other close quarters class builds. Offensively closing on an enemy with a shotgun is a risk-reward timing game. I was going to make like a snide remark that, it's not really that big of a risk-reward in PvP. Anyway, curb shotgun effectiveness in PvE slightly to reintroduce some risk when closing on a powerful enemy. And here's the changes that they're going to be putting in for shotguns. Shotgun perks that enhance lethality at range should be less effective when combined with a high initial range stat. They are reducing shot package accuracy buff by 30%. Rangefinder will only add a 5% base increase on ADS, where it was 20%, so it's a 15% reduction. They're also reducing the damage multiplier, or they are reducing the precision damage multiplier on shotguns by 10%, and reducing the damage against AI combatants by 10%. So, of the easiest ones there, I'm sad. I think we're all sad to see the reduced damage to AI combatants by 10%, because it's so much fun to use a shotgun in PvE.
It's warranted though, right?
It's very
They're
much
too
I
powerful.
need it to happen.
Yeah, it's warranted. It's fine. The other stuff there though, you guys will probably be a little bit more into it than me, but I still don't think all those changes are really going to be enough for PvP, for shotguns to have that big of a difference, at least the ones that have that maximum range stat that we're so used to already seeing.
So it's really hard to say.
Yeah,
right?
it really
Because
is.
We don't
without
know what
even trying
the
it yet.
accuracy buff was for shock package before. Was it 80%? It's now 30%.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much
But
that changes.
that's something that we weren't able to ever data mine.
Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to say. They're reducing the shot package accuracy buff by 30%. From what to what? We don't know. This is now going to make shotguns a close range weapon.
They are. They're just too strong right now, and the amount of risk you have to put in to get the one bang, and the fact that you don't even have to blink on people half the time. You can just kind of sprint at them, and even if you backpedal as hard as you possibly can, you sometimes just can't get out of the way quick enough. And they just can pull the trigger, hardly have to aim, and they're going to get a kill. So I'm hoping that it's enough that if at those extreme ranges, you don't even have to, it's not even going to be the one time they get lucky. They will never kill you at those extreme ranges. And I'm hoping that if their aim is a bit off at the kind of the medium to long range, they still won't one hit you. So they can't be sloppy. If they're going to go for that max range kill, they got to pump you in the, right in the chest, hopefully get some headshot damage on you, and get the kill that way.
In this week's Community Spotlight, I featured a short clip at the beginning while I was introducing the Community Spotlight where I killed 3 people, and it never appeared that I was aiming at any of the 3. And I put that in there just because it was kind of a funny clip. It wasn't me showing off my shotgun skill. In fact, it was the opposite, because if you look at that clip, I don't actually aim my gun at any of those 3 people. All 3 of them died, though. Shock package right now is crazy. It's just insane.
Okay. So
you gotta hit with like 3 of those things at like 100 yards away.
So yeah, it's definitely something I'm hoping these changes will do. I'm really kind of hesitant about saying this will fix it, because just reading it to me doesn't sound like it's going to fix the current problem, which is it's more than just shotguns themselves. It's these 3 really powerful shotguns, the Fell Winners, Party Crasher, Matador. Those 3 are, the ones that are making the whole thing kind of really difficult to balance. But then it's also the map sizes. I think when we had was it a Slayer Age on the podcast, he made a really good point that it's not just shotguns, it's also the speed that everyone moves at, blink combined with map sizes that make shotguns just so powerful. So I don't know, we might need to see just them start moving shotguns towards like the dry rot model, where they just have a lower range. And those feel like you still have to get close in PvP, but then in PvE they're still very powerful. Maybe this is just me completely hating on shotguns. I don't know. But yeah, I still don't think that these changes are enough for shotguns in my eyes.
I'm okay with it because I don't want to see him auto rifle the shotguns.
Yeah,
right? I don't want to see him nerf them into obscurity.
Yeah. I don't want to see that either. I want shotguns to still stay that viable close range thing, but I think everyone agrees right now that it's just a little bit too much on those few particular shotguns. So this might be something that has to be done, kind of like they did auto rifles, but not the whole auto rifle nerf package. Just like hey, these lower rate of fire ones, they're getting the larger damage nerf. So then maybe these shotguns with the really high range and impact are gonna get nerfed a little bit more than, and then the ones that are not like that, they're just gonna be left as they are because they're perfectly fine.
Hopefully, what we want are options, right? We want all of the weapons to be viable so that we can, we have a lot of options.
Yeah.
Right now, it just feels like there's fewer options than there used to be.
Yeah, true. Shall we move on to fusion rifles, or else it's gonna?
Speaking of getting nerfed into obscurity,
yeah, or or else I'm gonna get too much hate in the comments for pooping on shotguns.
It's my turn, right? Goals.
Yeah.
Fusion rifles are optimal at mid-range, where targets are easier to track, but they're not close enough to attack while charging up. Requires combat foresight and the ability to predict a target's movement to use successfully. It should not be easy to find and build a fusion rifle that can achieve maximum range. Changes. Slow charging, high impact fusion rifles have decreased range values. Makes it more difficult to max out range for these weapons. Projectile speed for fusion rifles is slightly reduced. Emphasizes the need to lead a target outside medium range. Improved accuracy for short-range fusion rifles and reduced accuracy for long-range fusion rifles. I don't see anything here that's going to make these things viable. In fact, it kind of sounds like they're going to be worse than ever.
Yeah. So right now, the only fusion rifles that you can really use are those slow charging, high impact ones because they have good range. And then they're like, oh yeah, that those range values, those are being nerfed even more. And then the projectile speed, why?
Yeah, I don't get that at all. Like unneeded at. Fusion rifles used to be fun to use. Yes, they were. I would say they were overpowered, There was a technique to using them, and they were fun to use because you don't see guns like that in other FPS shooters, right?
Yeah.
You had to charge it up and time that release at just the right time. Now, yeah, you can get one that's got good range, but it's unreliable because even if you have that good range and you feel like your aim is right on target, sometimes it's going to get a kill, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, and now
it's going to be worse.
now we're bringing like Battlefield 4 type stuff in here, where you have to account for bullet speed. Are fusion rifles are they gonna introduce wind into the game as well? And I'm gonna have to account for that.
If it's raining, you gotta aim up a little bit so it doesn't knock you down.
a new hunter exotic to I don't have to lick my finger anymore to see which way the wind's going, so to maybe actually hit with these things. I don't know. Pretty much all these changes to fusion rifles do not really feel warranted outside of the improved accuracy for short-range fusion rifles.
The only thing that gives me hope is that maybe in the Taken King we're going to get a new type, some new fusion rifles that the stats are a little bit different than what we're used to, and that these values will actually make sense for. But when you put these values on the current fusion rifles we've been using, it doesn't make sense. No. It makes the fusion rifles got really hurt in the last big update.
They've just been continuously hurt.
Continues.
It's just a continuous stream.
I don't think this makes them more viable. I'm completely in agreement with you guys. It makes them even less viable, and I don't think people are gonna. It doesn't fill the void that I think they were supposed to, which is an accuracy based short to medium range precision weapon. So
like you were saying earlier, Briar, we don't want everything buffed, but we just want there to be more options. And right now, fusion rifles, they really just aren't an option even in the current game. And with these changes, I mean, we none of us have played with these changes yet, but just reading it and then applying it to the current state of fusion rifles, it sounds like fusion rifles are going to be even less of an option. And God knows they might even mess up and not even, or they'll include the Vex Mytho class in this as well, and then that
which they have done in the past,
which they have done every single time in the past, and it just hurts that one even more.
Yeah.
So,
oh God, if you got to lead targets with the, come on,
yeah, Mythic class is already kind of difficult to use due to it not being hit scan. Yeah. So,
let's talk about something that everybody's going to be happy about.
Yes, please.
Yes. Let's let Pope talk about this one because
the advocate.
Man, I haven't seen anyone tilt that hard in a very long time since the other night with Pope and that final round sniper.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no problems with final round. Nobody that's ever watched the streams has seen me absolutely rage out.
The chat is still talking about that today.
Yeah, we don't talk about that anymore.
We don't have a special emote that says Pope Rage in the Twitch chat either. And it was solely spawned by final round snipers.
Not at all. Okay, anyway, the goals of this whole thing. Sniper rifles are optimal at long range and difficult to use for medium to short range combat.
For some, maybe.
Sorry.
So, present company excluded. So, sniper rifles reward thumb skill and high damage against precision targets. The final round perk on sniper rifles should still require precision shots. Hallelujah!
How about you read the change, Pope?
Hallelujah!
Read the change, Pope.
Okay.
Read the change.
Sorry. Changes. Final round on sniper rifles buffs precision damage only, not base damage. This change only affects this perk when combined with sniper rifles.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
That is exactly the type of thing that we wanted to see. Briar, you're like, it should only affect PvE. This is pretty much it. It still affects both PvP and PvE, but it just doesn't affect the body shots, which is
final round on a low damage sniper rifle could be good in PvP now.
Yep. Yeah, final round on like a Praetus Revenge type sniper rifle. They could
one bang off a revive or something like that, which would be interesting for sure.
They could put it back in the game, and I'd be like, okay, it's back in the game now, and I'd feel great about wanting to get it because that's a fantastic perk to have on any PvE sniper rifle.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think this is a fantastic change. There's no downside.
No.
I think the community honestly came up with better solutions than that, making them more skill based and more interesting. I know I got one in my Twitter account that was called the Marksman's Grant. After hitting 2 precision headshots, the perk will become active. Reloading the magazine would cancel the effect. So you would have to hit 2 headshots. And if you reloaded it, it wouldn't be time based, but if you reloaded it would cancel that third shot as being, so you would have like, if you got 2 headshots, you knew your third shot would be a body shot
like
kill.
a better version of the Master on No Land Beyond.
Right. So I think the community came up, and that's Jones popped that up in the forum, and then a couple people sent it to me to ask me what I thought about it. I thought there was more elegant solutions to Final Round. I've been engaged in this conversation on Twitter for some time now because people know that I'm not a proponent of it. As a matter of fact, I've been probably the loudest person, aside from like Triple Rec and a couple other people, saying that this is just absolute garbage and it should never be in a game. And so the reality is that they nerfed it, which I like, but I think that there was more elegant solutions to the Final Round than what they did here.
I think simplicity is also elegant, but I think that's just my art school talking. So it's a very simple change. I like it. We don't even have to discuss it anymore because it's like it's done. It's done.
No,
it's done. We're good.
I think Final Round had a purpose though, and once I think the most elegant that I read, and that's the reason why I brought it up, would be the marksman grant. You know, if you're good enough to pop 2 headshots in a row, your third one should be given to you as a body. And I mean, so I thought that there was I pushed out as much as I could to Bungie, like what I thought would be elegant solutions to the problem. I understand that they simply just nerf the crap out of it, which I'm not opposed to. I was looking for a happy middle ground to be more politically, I thought that there was better solutions to the problem. Yes, what they're doing here is definitely part of the solution, but it's just not as elegant as I thought they could have come up with. To be honest,
there's always room for new perks too.
Yeah,
I do like this one just because the thought of like a subtle nudge with Final Round on it just kind of like gets me wondering what a gun like that could be capable of.
Still bad.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway,
all right, rocket launchers.
Yeah, let's move on. Imtash,
All
go
right,
over them
so
rocket launchers.
with the rocket launchers, they didn't change too much. So the changes are that they're going to be increasing that blast radius, but they're going to be reducing the proximity detonation. In the group situations, this is probably better. This is probably a buff when you're throwing it into a group, because there aren't going to be the stragglers that get away. But the horseshoe proximity detonation is a little bit annoying, simply because of how easy it already is for a skilled player to blink out of certain rockets. This makes you got to be even more accurate. However, that being said, rockets are very pub stompy. If you're playing against a little bit lesser skilled players, if your team of 3 in skirmish gets heavy, it snowballs into supers. You get so many kills that you don't even have to challenge or do anything other than kind of point the gun. And so this will actually put a little bit of pressure on the people using it. There actually might be situations where people with machine guns are now able to trade and strafe effectively against someone using rockets. So I think it'll open up the PvP game for machine guns a little bit. So I like that. I think it's going to be a good change.
I like how, just a quick side remark, machine guns weren't mentioned at all in this.
Yeah, they're just staying there the way they are.
They're in a good spot.
I like the subtle comment there that it says rockets are optimal when placed in the middle of a group. When with grenades and horseshoes, you would not get that middle of the group landing.
You get that first person in the group,
right? And so I think that a skilled player, I hate to use the word skilled and rockets in the same context, but a skilled player can place a rocket in a good location and get a multi-kill with that increased blast radius. So I think what they've done here is made the rocket launcher, I can't believe I'm saying this, more of a skilled weapon. And and you have to actually place it in the right spot for it to work.
Right.
Yeah, I like this idea.
Yeah. Instead of more of a set it and forget it type shooting, you're actually gonna have to think a little bit more.
Exactly.
when you pull that trigger, because right now, like I just have to look at the radar and know where. So I don't even need visual confirmation. I could just scorch earth that one area, and I know it'll kill them.
And the other thing too about that is when there are those situations where people are peeking in and out of cover trying to do that, because it isn't as lenient with the blast radius, there's going to be less times that you die because of one step too far. But there's also going to be a lot. Yeah, like you're not going to get as many kills on people because they took that one extra little peek. You kind of have to. They have to be really committed to coming around that corner, I think, at this point. So I think
we're going to be seeing people firing at the ground more too, just to
make sure that it's hitting.
Make sure.
Yeah.
And that's the way I think rocket launchers are supposed to be. They're about, the skill is where you hit them.
It's basically fusion rifles for the most part. You have to lead your target. You have to know where they're going to be. You have to. There's a lot of stuff that goes into firing a rocket that doesn't have proximity dead into it. Same thing with a fusion rifle. You have to charge it up and know where that enemy's going to be when you go around the corner. Yada yada yada.
Hopefully you got to fire it at where you think somebody's going to be, as opposed to where you just saw them.
Exactly.
All right, exotic weapons.
Exotic.
This is going to be big.
This is
going to cause some debate. I can see it.
So
I have a feeling
should we just get through the easy ones first?
Hard light is pretty easy.
I don't know if there is an easy one. I mean,
hard light, like
okay,
let's
go.
First off, they say fair warning. Some of these changes are intended to make you feel better while killing with the weapon, and some are intended to make you feel better while being killed by the weapon. And we'll understand what that means a little bit later. So hard light changes. They are going to increase the base stability to 80 from 65. So this is like the second buff that hard light has received to its stability since its original inception. And then the increased bounce count for hard light projectiles. I don't exactly know what that means, but what I think it means is that instead of just bouncing once, those things will be bouncing twice.
That'd be awesome.
No, I think the bounce count refers to how many of the projectiles of a given package bounce.
Like the chance for them to bounce?
Right. Like I don't think every single round bounces.
All of them need to bounce, in my opinion.
All over the place.
Yeah.
Right. I think
Multiple
what they've done is that they've increased the bounce count and then have made them more effective. Like they don't lose damage when they bounce.
Okay. And then the last part is hard light projectiles are not affected by damage fall off.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
That is really good.
I don't know if that they're going to be affected only after they ricochet or what, but if I understand that correctly, that means I can fire hard light and it's effectively going to have, it's going to do the same damage at 1 meter to 200 meters.
No. The hard light projectiles are not affected by damage fall off because hard light projectiles used to, when you bounced it off a wall, they would provide less damage. So the object is still at the same range, but now you're bouncing it off a wall, so that
instead of damage then. Okay, so it's the ricocheted rounds then.
Right, the ricocheted rounds are not going to be less powerful.
Okay,
so yeah, you're still going to get the range effect of a fallout of a range effect, but I believe that what they're talking about here is that the rounds that are being bounced off a wall are going to have the same damage as if you didn't bounce them off a wall. That is cool. That is really cool. There's a lot of situations in PvP where you're at a control point and a guy's coming up the stairs and they're going to grenade you, and you could get good at bouncing your rounds off a wall and suppressing that corner so that when they come around, they're getting hit by those rounds before they come around the corner. I think this is going to make
stability.
It really
it'll be like a pretty cool weapon. Plus, the auto rifles in general are getting a buff. This could be a good weapon.
The only thing that I wish that Hardlight would have gotten that it didn't get listed here, but it's something that I was a big proponent of in the forums and on Reddit, was I was hoping that the Hardlight exotic perk would have been given in PvE only a universal elemental damage
That'd be cool.
perk.
Or maybe it just passes through all shields anyway, something like that, because of hard light.
Right, that it didn't matter. What I was saying is it didn't matter if it was, if it was a void, solar, or arc damage shield, it hit them equally hard. Like a universal remote kind of, universal damage weapon, but maybe that would have been too powerful. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't really want to get into the theory discussion of what we could do to a weapon,
Sure.
but
Okay.
yeah, but like let's try.
I like the changes they
Yeah.
made. I just wish they didn't. I think they could have gone more on
Yeah.
it. That's all.
Briar, you want to take Necrochasm?
Yes, I do want to take Necrochasm for the first time in my life.
I know, right?
I do.
Oh,
All right,
God.
so the changes. Okay, in addition to the auto rifles getting a general buff, we're going to get increased stability to 60. It was 40. So this thing's going to have some accuracy to it. It's going to get an increase in magazine size. The Cursebringer perk will always trigger on a precision kill.
Oh, yeah.
And the Cursebringer explosion has an increased radius and deals more damage.
There we go.
What's up?
The era of the Necrochasm is upon us.
Oh my god, I can't wait. That thing's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun in PvE. I'm thinking the lantern phases, right?
Yeah, the
lantern
Abyss,
phases.
absolutely.
The Abyss.
That thing's going to be
Night
insane.
Falls. I want to see that Curse Thrall explosion just decimate an entire Nightfall area.
Yeah.
It's like a mini nuke going off in every single room every time you kill someone.
Yes. I can't wait for this. The Necrochasm is one of the hardest weapons in the game to get, and it's one of the worst weapons once you get it.
Just briefly speaking of the Necrochasm, has anyone seen increasing reports that it's so difficult to get Husk of the Pit?
Yes.
I still don't
yeah.
have one. I've never.
Okay.
I have like 4 of the Crux of Crota. Never got in a husk ever.
I think Bungie should definitely address that. Like, way increase that drop rate.
Agreed. Yeah, they're now that people are going to be able or wanting to get the Necrochasm, I have a feeling that they're going to have to do something with that.
I see it. It's like a daily Twitter question to me. It's always
Right.
in the Twitch chat, on every YouTube video. People think it's like just not in the game anymore. They need to drastically up the drop rate on that.
Since House of Wolves, specifically.
Yeah, because
since that happened, the Knights are no longer dropping them.
Did you notice the other change that they made with the House of Wolves is that they made it so that you have the wolves prowling, and when the wolves started prowling, the servants of the sword guys, right, stopped showing up in caves, right? I'm just guessing, but I think when they took the sword guys out of the caves, they stopped the Husk of the Pit from falling in that one mission.
No, I still heard reports that it's dropping, but it's just
Okay.
so unbelievably rare, and it's also really taxing to have to reload that mission every single time you want to kill one.
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
That's how
it's
I
kinda-
got it, but I got it within like 20 tries.
Yeah, it took me 2 hours to get mine originally.
The fastest way to do it is you go to the end and then you get that checkpoint and then die, and then
Really?
you instead of reloading the whole thing and going to orbit, you can just do it that way.
Ah, okay.
Dun, dun,
Interesting.
dun. Too
Well,
bad you didn't get the
well,
tip
well,
earlier.
Yeah.
Well, repeat it. What
Okay, so
do?
if you, I guess since we're on the topic, if you want to farm Husk of the Pit, you go to the first Crota mission, where you kill the Sword of Crota in that cave kind of thing. I don't know the mission name.
Yeah.
You kill the first sword bearer, run to the end of the mission, and when you get to the darkness zone there, you just die. And once you die, it's going to respawn you in that cave. Once you run all the way back outside to where Omnigul, you first see her, it kind of reloads the mission, and you can kill the sword guy from there.
Okay.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
really good.
tip.
It probably saves you. Let's say you were doing it for an hour, half the time you're in orbit. But this way, it really increases your efficiency. So
Definitely. I think let's move on to the next weapon. We have the last word.
Yes.
Sorry, Briar.
So, yeah, and Briar and I are equal hearts here. That the last word was not broken and was perfectly fine the way it is.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You people are
both
just
know-
hating on my favorite gun. That's
Hey,
all.
yeah,
Whatever.
jerks. we both know that it was more powerful than it should have been. So it was the highest, or the fastest time to kill. So we know that it needed to be changed. So the changes are they reduced the range stat from 10, it was 20, and reduced stability from 20, it was 30. So you're going to have lower range and lower stability. Reduce effective range while ADS. So ADS, for those people who don't, it's aim down sight. So it's when you put the left trigger and you bring in the weapon up to the sight level. So you reduce effective range when you do that, and increase accuracy and precision damage aim assist scale when firing from the hip. And they have a really cool clip in the weekly update of a scene from a what was it, Fistful of Dollars,
Yeah.
right?
It's one of the best movies ever.
So anyway, I started playing it in the background, but it's the Fistful of Dollars is just a great movie. But it's that feeling they didn't want to lose of that Western, firing from the hip, greatness. And there was a bug in there that you could get that damage boost while aiming down sight. So they fixed that hip fire damage bonus applying incorrectly.
Yeah. All these changes feel fine to me for the weapon. I'm probably going to catch some flack for that, but the most important one in there is fixing the bugs with hip fire damage bonus applying incorrectly. I know right now with hunters, like you can kind of make it apply really easily by using Knucklehead Radar, because apparently the game thinks that you're still hip firing because your radar is active or something like that. It's really weird, but you can really consistently get them if you're using Knucklehead Radar. So hopefully that bug is forever gone and the weapon will be used as it's intended now. I definitely like that they're increasing the accuracy and precision damage when hip firing, so it really makes it feel, it has that Western feel to it. And then they're going to reduce the effective range while aiming down sight. So that again further makes it into the you better be hip firing this thing. And if you're aiming down sights, it better be because they're one hit away from dead and they're trying to run away from you.
That comment.
This thing is still going to be a close range monster.
Oh, yeah,
the only
yeah.
difference is it's not going to act like a scout rifle anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I use it quite a bit because I snipe constantly, and so this thing is still going to be good. Like, if someone's up close to you, you don't need accuracy, you don't need range, you just keep pumping the gun into them and they're going to die.
Yep.
But that comment you made earlier about the some of these are going to make it feel better to kill with, and some are going to be to die against, kind of thing, or whatever it was. That's the thing I'm really agreeing with is, killing with it, it's always felt the same. You kill them pretty darn quickly. And if you do get the bonus damage and get a quick 2-shot kill, it doesn't feel that amazing. It's like, whatever, it's lucky. It feels a lot worse to be outplaying an opponent who pulls out a last word, or let's say he blink shotgunned on you and he wasn't in range to kill you with that shotgun, but he pulls out his last word and gets a 2-hit kill on you instantly. And there was no skill involved with it other than a little bit of luck. That is something I'm really happy they're going to be changing.
It's impossible to respond against that 2-shot headshot kill from either. I think in one of Dado's videos, he timed it, and it was like 8 frames or something. So it was like 0.17 seconds of just pow dead. You can't respond.
But now that range is going to get reduced. Also, there's going to be less bullets in this gun.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned with. That's that hand cannon thing that I'm really concerned with is, are all the exotic hand cannons going to be reduced as well? So are we going to be seeing the last word being nerfed down to just a 6-shooter instead of an 8-shooter now?
And you know what? If they do, then it's going to be a lot worse weapon, especially for someone who's not super accurate with it. Because even as it sits with the 8 shots, if you don't play an engagement perfectly, you don't have enough ammo to consistently and effectively and safely take out a second target. So if there's only 6 in the magazine, it's going to be a one-on-one trade gun, and that's about it.
Yeah. Like, generally, you should be using, it's probably going to be 4 shots to kill someone, generally, with the last word. Even if you're aiming down sights, hopefully.
And I'm honestly in favor of anything that makes an exotic and a skill-based weapon. Put yourself in a category where you're going to say, I am going to play this playstyle, and I'm going to be effective, and I'm going to learn how to play this playstyle. And if I get good at it, then I'm going to get kills. So I'm fully in support of this, even though it is my favorite gun to use, and I love the fact that I can just run around and act like I'm, all that. But it's going to force me to actually get better. And I'm in support of that.
Yeah. I think it's still going to be good. It's just not going to be broken.
It's that sniper's favorite companion, really. Okay, so moving on, Thorn.
Nah, let's just skip this one.
Are we going to get into the
really,
Thorn?
Nobody cares.
Yeah, who
Yeah,
cares?
no one's really that.
Should we save this one for last? Because
I think we might talk about it the most. You're right.
Let's leave
let's
for
save
last.
this
I'll
one.
go to Hawkmoon. I'll go to the baby Hawkmoon. That gun was elusive. I wanted that thing, and I didn't get it until the second week that Crota was out. I actually have a clip of me freaking out because I finally got the Hawkmoon. So it was always a great weapon. I liked it a lot. And the changes they're making to it, to an extent, change the identity, but we'll discuss that in a second. So what are they doing? The changes are they're adding a stack limit to the luck in the chamber and holding aces. So you can't get really lucky and one-hit kill anyone. The amount of times that happens is very slim. I think it's a 1 in 2,096 chance or something like that.
It's like 1 in 2,000 chance. Just
right.
It's
round off to that.
that change is psychological, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, and the other thing too is sometimes that chance that it would happen gets wasted in a round that you never fire. So it's just it's really tough to put it into words how little this ever happens. So that's
you hear about it happening at least twice a game, though.
Exactly.
Right.
He
That's my
one-shot
point.
me.
It takes away the argument from people. It's
Yeah.
psychological. It so randomly happens and so rarely happens, and everybody's like, I just got one-shotted by Hawkmoon. Well, if it can't happen, right? If they change it so that that 1 in 2,000th chance that it could happen is taken away, it leaves that argument, that rage away. People are not going to get angry because it just can't happen now.
Which is, I think that's fair. That's
continuing with the other stuff.
So with the next change is when you get holding aces, you get an extra 2 rounds in the magazine. So that means it's bumping it up from a 13 magazine to a 15.
Supposedly.
Yes.
But keep in mind, hand cannons are getting a magazine nerf, so maybe
exactly.
it'll
So
be at
maybe this
13
evens
at
it
the end
out.
of this.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
I think that gives us a hint as to what the magazine nerf is going to be.
Yeah, I think Pope
I
Bear
think
is right.
it gives you. I think it's going to give us a 2-round magazine reduction.
Yeah, because the whole thing about luck in the chamber, holding aces is built around luck, and then it has the unlucky number 13 of rounds in the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that it would be weird if they changed that whole motif, and I think that would be a massive nerf because you're essentially reducing it chances of getting a 2-shot kill by like what 15, 20%.
The more rounds you add into the magazine, the less chance that you have of actually getting that luck in the chamber.
The last change is the luck in the chamber damage bonus is reduced by 3%. It already does 124 damage for a headshot. So I can't personally think of any combinations where this will actually change it from being a 2-shot kill.
Yeah, this is one that I don't really understand.
I don't know what
either.
that's going to possibly do.
But all
Could
the
it
other
be that a fully spec'd warlock for health plus
plus the ram.
Maybe. Yeah.
Someone at Bungie's like, I'm tired of getting dead by luck in the chamber, so I'm going to nerf it by 3% so I can live. Yeah. I don't understand that one, but the other two changes there, I completely agree with. Hawkmoon, even though it's so rare when it happens, it shouldn't be able to one-shot someone. Even if all the stars and planets align, you just really shouldn't be able to one-shot someone with a weapon, even though it's hilarious and montage footage worthy every time it does happen. And then the 2 rounds Hawkmoon magazine, I'm guessing that's to fix the magazine nerf.
Right.
I'm okay with that as well. Like this is a very balanced change to Hawkmoon because it's still going to be that exotic hand cannon with really high impact and aggressive ballistics to deal massive punchy damage, and it's still going to reward a very skilled hand for precision shooting, even with all the other hand cannon nerfs. So
it's gonna feel effectively unchanged, except for the general hand cannon changes.
Exactly, it's going to feel like a normal hand cannon.
If the magazine stays at the 13. I honestly think that if the Thorn nerf... let's get into it later. We'll talk about it. I think Hawkmoon is going to stay an exotic that feels like a pretty good primary exotic. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's next? Icebreaker?
Icebreaker. Basically, they're tired of people sitting in the back and killing stuff because apparently they said it takes too long to do that. So we're going...
You know what? Screw you, Bungie.
Yeah, so we're going to make it take even longer by increasing the recharge time for 1 round every 8 seconds instead of 1 round every 5 seconds. This is a change that I don't really understand because their literal point is like we're tired of it taking too long for you to like sit in the back and do stuff. so we're gonna make it take even longer. But
yeah, they're hoping that the recharge time is going to make it painful enough that people are going to choose other choices instead of sitting back. It's going to not be viable for them to sit back. They're going to have to move up.
Whatever. I got synths for days from farming all those chests.
I know, right?
I am not worried about this.
Yeah.
Do you think this will affect oracles at all? I think there's a big enough gap that I don't think it'll matter too much.
If you still have a team full of 6 with Icebreaker, you should be fine. But if people are taking that one too many shot to cheese oracles, which I don't know why you are now, if you're level 34, you can just blow through it. I don't know. It'll probably take too long, but I don't know. It feels like an unneeded change. It's a massive, massive PvP nerf. Like, oh my god, that is a huge PvP nerf.
I wonder if that's why this really is happening.
Yeah, because they're tired of the PvP glitch where you can switch to it in between rounds and stuff to regain ammo.
You know, they don't say anything about PvP in the little write-up, but I wonder.
I don't know either. I'm not a fan of this change. If they're stating it's for PvE, and I'm still not happy with this change.
What's the invective time? Is it 8 seconds?
It's 30 seconds.
It's a month and a half.
Yeah.
The game is done before you get some ammo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why is the Icebreaker at a different rate?
Because you can't pick up ammo with it. You can't pick up ammo. You can't use ammo synths. It has a maximum of 6 rounds, so it's just at a different rate, which understands. But that 1 round every 5 seconds made it like you could time it for the most part. But 8 seconds, like that's just odd.
Right.
To me.
I mean, and this I guess it has to do a bit with ammo economy in both PvP and PvE, where you now it's kind of changing up the way people are going to use that special slot, because
that special slot.
If we jump, if you guys don't mind, to the Black Hammer.
Yeah.
Now,
that's fine.
What's happening with the Black Hammer is they're changing the amount of ammo that it carries. So it's going to have 18 rounds, but the way the White Nail perk works, so if you land 3 precision headshots currently, you just continue to have unlimited amounts of ammo. So if you're against a boss with a big hitbox, you can just keep sniping them all day, have some amazing DPS, something like the Fallen Devil Walker or whatever. You can literally shoot him until he dies and never have to reload or anything. But now what happens with the White Nail perk is it starts taking that ammo from your inventory. So eventually you're going to run out, and eventually you need to change up your options. It's almost the same thing as the Icebreaker is. If you're shooting too much and you're pumping it into a boss, eventually you have to change up your game style. You can't just keep sniping, and you have to either move around the map and get some more ammo, or put yourself into a higher risk situation. So it's interesting what they're doing.
Switch to a scout rifle.
Switch to a scout rifle.
Well, I like, and I think when I read this, my comment was that it felt like the Black Hammer should have been an exotic the way it was originally put out to us, and the fact that it wasn't made it overpowered in my mind, because you never had to worry about ammo. But now, I think it falls more in the legendary category, and it fits more. It's what it should be.
Yeah.
So that may not be a popular decision or comment, but I feel that now it's a true legendary instead of an exotic.
Yeah, those Crota weapons always had really good perks on them, and Black Hammer was like the absolute pinnacle of all those, where it just had this absolutely amazing perk that everyone wanted because of it.
That rarely worked.
Yeah, well, in the first yeah, and then with against Hive, it never worked, and they finally fixed it. Yeah.
Well, what I feel bad about is the people that have been. I was helping a guy trying to get through Crota normal because he still doesn't have. He still didn't have the Black Hammer, and he had been playing as much as I had. Just days and days and days in the game, and that was his white whale. And he still he'll never get a chance to experience the Black Hammer that we all know.
It's the Gjallarhorn of special weapons. It's so good.
Arguably better.
Praetorian foil. But people aren't seeking out Praetorian foil as much as they are Black Hammer, though.
Yeah.
Even though
can we move on to No Land Beyond?
Yeah, let's go to No Land
Let's
Beyond.
talk about.
Yeah.
I actually think this one's interesting and a little bit scary.
As you
changes
should be.
to No Land Beyond.
Maybe it's appropriate for MTash to talk
Yeah, let's
about
let him.
Yeah,
take this
well,
one.
let me do the changes and then we'll let Tash and Patrick probably
Give me a rest
tell me
here.
why
Let's hear
it's so
your
scary.
beautiful voice for a bit, and then we'll get me back
All
on.
So the changes to No Land Beyond. Increase weapon handling speed for faster time to aim, ready, and stow. That's scary. Adjust sights to fix overlap parallax issue while aimed. That's just a good change. Increase time decay of the master to 8 seconds. An additional 20% precision damage bonus while the master is active. How excited are you about this, MTash?
So, the No Land Beyond is my baby. I love it. It's so... Oh my god. If I want to have fun and play Destiny and have more fun than anything else, No Land Beyond comes out, and it's just always a good time. Every kill feels like, I earned that. You know, it's great, especially if you're getting shot. It does. It feels really nice to trade with someone and get a kill. If you guys had seen it, it was kind of on Reddit for a bit. KJ Hovey, myself, and the Jez, we did a No Land Beyond only trials run.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so what that means is we weren't allowed to use supers, grenades, shotguns, anything. And the biggest issue we found was when we were having trouble in rounds or it just extending for a long period of time was you can't one bang off the revive.
Yep.
And so if that 20% damage is enough to get the one bang off the revive, No Land Beyond could be competitive. Mm-hmm. Especially in a good player's hands, it could be completely competitive. And with those little changes, like the sight being a little bit easier to use, stuff like that, it could be deadly.
Do you know what they're talking about? I think I have an idea of what a fixed overlap or the overlap parallax issue is.
I know this one. Okay, so for those that don't know what parallax is, this is my photographer coming out. I use a rangefinder camera where you have to deal with something called parallax, where what you're looking at isn't technically what you're actually seeing in the camera. Parallax in the sights here are that what that little pointy thing on what the iron sights on No Land Beyond are actually pointed at. That's not where the bullet is actually going to go. Apparently, you have to aim a little bit. You have to like put their head inside the iron sight, not necessarily on the tip of the iron sight, which is why I could never get used to that weapon. So adjust sights to fix the overlap/parallax issue while aimed is probably moving the damage to be pretty much directly on the point of that
thinking
that iron sight.
That's what it is, because right now if you're strafing to the left or the right, because there's those like 3 circles in the scope, sometimes they kind of it's not that they're tilted, but they all kind of are turning at the same time while you're strafing, and so it's not where you're actually aiming. You have to kind of like lead your shot a little bit when you're doing a sweep. So if they fix that, it's going to be deadly. It's going to be a precision weapon, and if you're good with it, I think it could be.
And then just add on the increased weapon handling speed for faster time to aim.
That's what scares me.
And ready and stow. So like I can have a sidearm that's really quick to switch to, or maybe that's really good, like the upcoming Iron Banner sidearm. And then, oh man, No Land Beyond is my main. That sounds like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited.
In panic situations, it'll be a lot better as well. You really have to play back.
You can put it away and pull out your shotgun.
Exactly. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
that's what I don't like. I don't like that. I feel like you should take a hit for using a 12-foot long sniper rifle. That hit is, it takes a little bit longer to put it away.
I'm actually going to agree that the red shotgun. Or the stow and ready time should probably stay the same, but the faster time to aim,
that's fine.
That needs to be a little bit fixed. So moving on, Pope, you want to take this one? Your favorite Lord of Wolves? What's getting changed to that?
Oh yeah, I love it. I feel like every time I use it, I feel like I should be just, front of the pack going, oh!
Yeah, it's so much fun.
It is a blast. So if you guys haven't gotten it, it's one of the exotic
Elder
weapons.
Cipher bounties.
Yeah, the Elder Cipher bounties. And I think it's the best one of the 3. So what they're doing is they're tripling the recovery boost given to your allies when you get a kill using Lord of Wolves. And I think this is amazing. And it's going to be my weapon of choice in Prison of Elders and when I'm doing fire missions with friends. I can't tell you how cool it is to get a kill with that and see that Lord of Wolves perk show up on your screen, and know that every one of your teammates that is within, I'd say it's bigger than a Titan bubble, but it you have to be within a good proximity. But so if you're in that range of the person that has the Lord of Wolves, you are getting a health increase, and to have it 3 times, it's going to be an amazing for a Titan using a defender bubble. It's going to give us the option to equip different perks in the defender bubble. Typically, you only really select Armor Blight when you're doing PoE, because you really need your teammates to be able to withstand damage when they're inside of that bubble. So you put on armament, you put on the Helmet Saint 14, and you've got to put on Armor Light, and it really makes that bubble one-dimensional. But using this gun and getting a kill with it, and it makes the support class have a weapon now that is truly support-based. So I'm really excited about this.
The thing also does massive DPS. Like, you can take down some pretty badass enemies very quickly with this, because it's got a ton of ammo, and you can just keep firing it and firing it and firing it.
Oh, we were using it on stream the other day in hard mode Crota, and we were just, eviscerating those Hive Knights. Just both Pope and I come out with our Lord of Wolves. It's just like brap from both of us, and they're dead. They didn't stand a chance.
And finally, we have Cabal with solar shields. Yeah. Oh my god, they don't stand a chance.
Yeah, they are under my boot by the time I'm done pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
Yep.
This really steps up the Lord of Wolves game.
It really. I think it's akin to the fix that they did to the Fourth Horseman, where the Fourth Horseman was exotic. That when it came out, it wasn't really all that exotic.
No,
it
was bad.
It was really bad. No one was using it. And then they made some changes to it, and they put it back out, and it really kind of came into its own. I feel like this change truly takes the Lord of Wolves into from being a good shotgun to being a exotic shotgun.
Absolutely.
Too bad the Dreg's Promise isn't on this list.
Too bad the Dreg's Promise isn't anywhere on this list, because it's just
it's poo.
It's bad.
Poo on a stick.
It's bad. Anyway, before we get into Thorn, there's still one more exotic that we have to kind of give a 21 gun salute to, and just say, now we lay thee down to sleep. Gjallarhorn.
Are we giving it a eulogy, or is it just?
I'm not going to give it a eulogy yet, but
okay. All right.
I'm going to at least try it out before I put it take it out back and put a round through its skull. Reduce damage of Wolfpack rounds on Gjallarhorn.
Ow!
Yeah.
Not appropriate.
No.
Not appropriate.
Sorry. Too soon? Is that too soon?
Too soon. Yeah, reduce damage of Wolfpack rounds. So we don't know exactly.
It's more like this. Yip 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 yip.
Yeah.
we don't know how much damage is going to be nerfed by, but it should be noted that it's probably not going to be as easy to kind of just glide your way through content now.
I'll jump on this grenade and say this is kind of a long time coming, and it's actually a good change.
What?
Yeah.
I'm wondering how many people are looking at the graph, though, where it's saying like 35 to 40% of the people are using this, and they're like, what are you talking about? Why don't I have it?
I'm the guy that's using Hunger of Crota.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what the damage reduction is going to be, and if it's going to be so severe that people start looking into machine guns as now the optimal DPS thing for bossing and stuff like that.
I'm okay with that, because then people are going to be like, where's my Thunderlord now, Zer? Yada, yada. Yeah. No, but the problem is, like, Gjallarhorn is that it's that weapon that everyone wants, because it just looks awesome. It has that mystique around it of it's the best weapon out there, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to vary up the weapons that people are going to use, like we have been in PvP, where we don't want everyone to be using one of 3 shotguns and one of 3 hand cannons and one of a rocket launcher with grenades and horseshoes on it. We want people to not be using Gjallarhorn as much.
I think they said it pretty well in their little write-up, saying that it was exclusionary. People who didn't have it were getting excluded from groups where people were requiring it. That's how good it was.
Well,
you
and
brought
I
it
think
into a Nightfall that was Arcburn, and you still used it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's really where this gun really feels like it was doing a disservice to fire teams. I like diversity in the fire teams where you have to, and one of the reasons why I like Prison of Elders so much is that you're sitting in that lobby before you go in, and you look at the burns and you look at the things, and you go, okay, as a fire team, what do we need to run? You know, you're gonna run a arc damage, you know, this, so you can take off the captain's shield, and then I will do this kind of damage. Because I think it's just important that there is diversity within the guns so that your fire team has to communicate, and you, especially in PvE, and you have to choose different loadouts to team shoot and work together. And if the Gjallarhorn, what it was really, I think, intended for is to take the shield or initial shield off of a solar damage shield boss or a big guy. And so I think that the Wolfpack rounds were designed to do that, but then we're just given too much power.
Yeah, they are a rocket explosion unto themselves, a concentrated rocket explosion.
It's sad. It's sad.
It is. It's really sad when you go do that Val's Truareg fight, and it has that shield that changes elemental types. And when I was at Bungie and played Prison of Elders, I was like, hey, it's changing elemental damage types, and like Dado and Mace were like, okay, I'm gonna go this, I'm gonna go this damage, I'm gonna go this damage. I'm like, I'm gonna go Gjallarhorn because it doesn't care about the elemental.
It doesn't
damage.
matter.
It just doesn't matter. And now it will, which is something that I'm okay with. Yes.
Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Good job, Bungie. And I'm gonna go on record with you, Briar. It was needed. And I think that we're gonna see a lot more diversity in conversations within fire teams to select loadouts that are going to be more, team-based or team shooting oriented.
Prediction: 1 week after update 2.0,
Galley.
Galley.
He's got the galley for sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Oh, you are
Hold
so
up.
right.
Let me go on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so at Briar Rabbit.
Uh-huh. Is he going on record?
No,
for
he's
this?
going on record for the shit. Okay.
All right.
1 week after 2.0.
Okay.
Xur will sell Galley.
All right. Briar, you
know
might
what?
be
That's something
Nostradamus
Deej is gonna
here.
retweet and be like, "Oh yeah, that's true. It's happening."
He owes me a 6-pack if it doesn't get sold.
And you owe him one if it does?
Yeah, we'll do that. Does that sound like a fair bet, Briar?
Not really, but I'll take it anyway.
Okay, sounds good.
All right,
So
guys.
I think it's time.
I'll
It's time, man.
I'll take
It's time.
Yingling. I'll take Yingling, Briar Rabbit. You can just go ahead and.
No,
Yeah.
Patrick. It's
Oh,
really time
oh.
that we do this. We've got to.
Okay, guys. Thorn is getting nerfed. But okay, here's the changes, and then if you guys could say silent so I could have a mild rant after this too.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I'm sorry. So,
I just don't
I'm
think it
just
should have
warning
been
you.
nerfed. It's such a weak weapon.
Oh Jesus!
Okay, so Thorn
Shut your whore mouth.
changes reduced base damage of Thorn's Mark of the Devourer dot to roughly 1/3 of what it was in PvP and PvE. Allow the dot to stack up to 5 times across multiple landed projectiles. This is a net buff for Thorn's dot, but reduces the lethality of the weapon in PvP. So, basically, here's what it means. You shoot someone once in the body. That dot will tick for the same amount of time that it currently does, but it will only do 2 damage per tick. Shoot them again in the body. Now that dot, I assume it's going to refresh when you hit him again. That dot will now tick for like probably 5 because it generally rounds down. Damage generally rounds down. So it'll tick for 5 damage per tick. Hit them a 3rd time in the body, and it will now tick for 7. So in my mind, Thorn is still going to be the same amount of body shots to kill someone. It will be a less amount of headshots though. So
it'll be 3 shots.
More. It'll be 3 shots now in the head. Like you will absolutely have to land that third headshot, which it won't really matter anyway, because you will have to. I mean, because just the base damage will kill them. My thing is the damage nerf is fine. That's fantastic, and it actually works better for PvE now because you can stack it up to 5 times. It'll do more rolling damage. I like that. For PvP, however, the reason why Thorn is so difficult to go up against is because it takes you out of the fight. If you get hit and you go below red health, or you go into your red bar, you now have to go out of the fight, and you have that dot ticking on you, which keeps you from activating your recovery. And then the dot finally goes off. Okay, now your recovery can start to go up. Okay, now you can go back into the fight. That's like 10 seconds that you're out of a fight. And all during that entire time, for the most part, that guy is tracking you because of the dot that's on you. He can see where you're going. It's so much information. It takes you out of the fight way too much. I don't think that the dot should last as long as it currently does if it's to be balanced in PvP. Okay, that's the end of my rant. You guys can respond to it. Respond to the changes that are coming with it. I'm done ranting.
Okay, so you didn't read off 5 other changes that Thorn's getting.
Okay.
It's going to get all the hand cannon changes as well.
I forgot to mention that. My bad.
So in addition to those changes, it now is no longer a 2-shot headshot kill.
Correct.
It is still an exotic weapon and is going to act like an exotic weapon.
Yes.
I think these changes are pretty good.
I do think they are good, and I think they didn't want to go like all out, put it in the ground, nerf it.
They didn't want to auto cannon.
Yeah, they didn't want to auto rifle it. Rifle it. I can respect that because also it is one of the most difficult quest lines to actually attain the thing. So, yeah, I can see why they didn't go all out on it. But at the same time, like that's still going to be there. And then if you have people team shooting with Thorn, it's going to be like the exact same situation that we're currently in.
Right. I guess the only argument I'll make for competitive, and anyone who plays sweaties might have, so even it doesn't matter what the engagement is. If I'm sniping, if I'm aiming down sights at a corner, and I've hit you once or twice with my gun, and I haven't killed you yet, you can nearly instantaneously pop off 2 headshots with Thorn. You die, but then I'm going to bleed out and die after. So there's almost no counterplay to that. Even by adding that extra 1 shot, that extra 1 headshot, or even if it's 2 headshots and a body shot, that's 1 more trigger pull that someone has to commit to a fight. So I can either kill them before that 3rd shot gets off, or I can choose to run before he gets that 3rd shot off. So it does add a little bit of counterplay. I do recognize it has a bit more utility, but there's going to be a lot less times where you're screaming, going, "Come on! Seriously? Like, I'm dead after that," So that's the one thing I'm going to be really happy about, is just that extra fraction of a second counterplay that might save your life down the road.
Yeah, and
what I don't like about it is what Patrick's talking about. In a 3v3 competitive situation, having a third of your team down, or at least away from the fight where they can't engage because the Thorn's dot is ticking on you for 10 seconds is an eternity. Those gunfights don't last that long. They don't last that long. It is basically ensuring that every competitive match have at least 1 Thorn player.
Right.
To
just for that utility.
Down.
For that.
Right.
Well,
just for that simple utility.
It's still an exotic, and it's still a good exotic. They just didn't kill it. Like, I'm okay with this. I mean, I see what you're saying. Yes, it gives you a major advantage, but it is an exotic.
Can we not look at it from the ultra competitive scene, which is what I think we're always really focused on here? Can we look at it from just a general player perspective right now? And then I can see where Briar's coming from. Yes, it feels like a very balanced exotic. If you take in all the exotic hand cannon changes, and then all of the and then the change that it's going to get.
I guess if you look at it that way, give any weapon put into the hands of a skilled player is going to seem overpowered.
Yeah.
So if you take a look at Thorn, given those changes that hand cannons are getting, and place it in a perspective where you're the average player, those are good changes.
Yeah, those are fantastic changes. I'm still basically like me as a skilled player versus someone who's not as skilled as me who's using Thorn. I don't think Thorn is going to be that crutch now that can kind of send them over the top. It's kind of bringing it back down to the mortal plane. They're still going to have to use it like a normal hand cannon with the dot that happens to be on it afterwards, whereas most people are using it exclusively for that, stupid dot damage that's on it right now.
I would use it specifically because it was a 2-shot kill.
Yeah.
It killed ridiculously fast. I could 2-shot you, run away, find my next engagement. I was done with you. I knew you were dead. Now, that's no longer true.
And that's why I actually, when the game started, Hovey, he got a Hawkmoon right away. And at first we're like, who cares? But the fact that you could get that proc on the lucky bullets and get a two-shot kill, that means you now have such a huge advantage in some engagements. And so Hawkmoon was the one to go to. Thorn wasn't a thing. But once they did buff the Thorn and it became a 2-shot kill, it was just a better version of Hawkmoon because you could have that guaranteed moment of outplay of that 2-shot kill advantage over other legendary hand cannons and other stuff like that. So the fact that they might be bringing it into the 3, I think overall it makes it more fair for everyone. It brings in more in line with even something like a Hawkmoon where it's definitely going to be strong, especially in a skilled player's hands. In a weaker player's hands, it's still going to be great for the utility, but it's not overkill now.
Let me ask this question now. So
you guys have convinced me.
Yeah, let me ask this question now. So now that we know the changes that are coming to the top 3 hand cannons, which if we looked at that graph, it's Thorn, Last Word, Red Death, and then Hawkmoon as the highest used weapons, with like a bunch of weapons following very close after Hawkmoon. Are we going to see them become more balanced now? Or are we...
Hawkmoon, I think, is going to rise.
I think Hawkmoon will definitely rise because it's...
The rise of the Phoenix!
Yes.
It does depend on what the effect of the hand cannon nerf is. Because if it becomes much harder to aim, and it's doing a lot less damage at range, like let's say Pantheon, if you're,
you can't,
looking at a sniper,
you can't do sniper alleys with it.
Yeah, if you just can't do it anymore, that's going to be a big problem for Hawkmoon users, right? That's going to take some adjustment.
If there is that big range nerf and there's that discrepancy, I would bet you a 6-pack that it will go. If it's that extensive on the range nerf, what will happen is I feel that a lot of hand cannon users will exclusively use Last Word, and it'll be only for close range combat. That's it. Nothing else. There's no real reason to use the other hand cannons at a range. And so if you're going to be using a hand cannon and you're going to be sniping and you're only using it at close range engagements, or you're going to be blink shotgunning, Last Word is the way to go. And there might be a little bit of a meta shift to things like Mida, to things like the Messenger, and stuff that's just better at a range, because there's no reason to use anything other than Last Word for close range, and there's multiple reasons to use something other than hand cannons at a longer range, kind of thing.
The meta we sit in, there's really no reason not to use the Last Word of Thorn.
Yeah,
right? Unless you just have a theoretical problem with it, or you're just sick of using them. There's no reason not to use them.
What I said on, I think it was Tefty's stream the other day, was right now the meta is you go for an extreme as your secondary. You go for extremely close range with a shotgun, or you go for extremely long range with a sniper. And then you have a hand cannon as your primary because that fits everything else that you need to possibly do. So we're going to be seeing that shift where hand cannons will no longer, or the exotic hand cannons will no longer be that bastion of being able to cover the scout rifle ranges, cover the close ranges as well. We're going to be seeing it move closer to actually having to pick a primary for, do I want a close range, a medium range, or a long range primary? Do I want my secondary to be close range, medium range, or longer range? So hopefully if they maybe don't do those fusion rifle nerfs, we'll be able to do that. But yeah, we're starting to hopefully see these weapons start to have archetypes that actually reflect what they're supposed to, where Bungie is wanting them to be used. And then we'll see loadouts start to change. We'll see the meta shift even more, and we may see more balanced loadouts because of it.
I'll be interested to see if this range issue is really fixed, right? Because we heard this before.
We've heard it before.
This time it looks like they actually had to make a change to the game, and that's why it took so long to get this change, right? It's because they actually had to change the way range works.
They basically made a damage fall off stat. If I'm understanding it correctly, there is now a new damage fall, basically a slider that they can choose where the damage is going to fall off at.
If that's true, we may get the Destiny that we've always wanted. Right? It's like the PvP that we've always wanted. Specific guns for specific uses.
Yep. I'm hoping that's going to be the case. Anyway, so we can there's like one or two more little things here. Like the stat perk column on talent grids, you know like right now how that second tier perk list where there's those 3 bubbles that you have to, select one, yada, yada, yada. Well, they're basically making it so when you level up that top one, you'll be able to select any of the 3 now, instead of having to level up that entire tree. So leveling weapons will be quicker now. So, yay. What else? A lot of the perks like Syndit, Hammerforge, Field Scout, Perfect Balance, they all grant massive increases to their targeted stat. And they're just the absolute best, which is why all those older weapons are so coveted. So to compensate for that, they added the new stat perk, like the ones that we saw in House of Wolves. And so they're basically doing that to an even greater degree, if I'm understanding it, with more stat perk tuning, as they're calling it.
Right, more trade-off.
Yeah, more trade-off type perks, which is what I like seeing. And they're
if you want range, you're going to get less stability.
Yeah, exactly. Or less rounds in the mag, so you're going to have to make those range shots count even more, something like that.
Right.
And they're also reducing the base weapon stats as well. So like
this, I think, is huge.
Yes, this is...
Especially when we're talking about shotguns.
And I think this is a great time to bring up, are we going to see year 1 weapons be able to be ascended?
No.
Yeah, I really don't think we are, and I really hope that we aren't. We've gone into this topic quite a lot anyway, but if they're making all these changes to the reduced base weapon stats, the stat perk pruning, then just the general weapon balances, I really hope they don't allow ascending, so then we can have this, thing, so we can have this new meta start to form. And I know we're probably not going to fully see it form, but at least in like the competitive playlists we will, because people won't be using these really overpowered older weapons that have all these really strong perks.
Like imagine Iron Banner or Trials of Osiris where you can't use Thorn anymore because it doesn't do enough damage. That would be phenomenal in my opinion. It would be very cool to see that in the future when Destiny 2 is coming out and all that, if they started making a shift where you had to change it, and it would be a way that it would give players enough time to adjust to it all, but eventually balance things out to a way that maybe they could even bring in ranked playlists and stuff like that. So,
well, it kind of depends on how big a boost the next set of weapons is.
For sure,
right?
Absolutely.
If it goes from 365 to 500 attack value, then all your old stuff is going to be useless. If it goes from 365 to 400, then we're going to be in a Dark Below situation where we might have gun like the Fatebringer that's still useful. Even though it does a little less damage, the perks on it are so good that you still want to use it. So it really kind of depends on how much they change the new attack value.
True.
I'm in favor of vanilla Destiny and all the guns in the first year making their way of the dodo and just slowly
I don't want them to slowly die. I want it to be like, a meteor comes down and just crashes upon them. Like, rip that Band-Aid off. Let's throw out the old, bring in the new.
Well, I think that no matter what, how are you going to deal with Crucible?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So
that stuff is going to be still good for that. I mean,
right. That's my
year
point.
one
That's my
shadow
point.
price
Is that
still
you're
gonna
no
be
matter
useful for that.
because of the way they built the game. There's no way that they can do that one change unless let me correct this. Unless they change dramatically the way that damage and the weapons are done throughout the game, and we may see that.
I'm okay though having a shadow price last me for 10 years in Standard Crucible because Standard Crucible doesn't really matter that much. Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris, where power matters, I'm not going to bring the shadow price in there. I'm going to bring my new weapons, my more powerful weapons. So I'm okay with the Crucible being kind of a fun place to hang out with some of my older weapons.
Right. Okay. I agree. And so that the Crucible maybe won't be a problem so much as it will place to have some nostalgia and take your Thorn in and have fun with it.
Yeah. Where else do you ever fire off the Stranger's Rifle?
True.
It's true.
On patrol sometimes, but that's about it.
Yeah. So I guess it's good. It's a good idea to keep the exotics or to keep vanilla one or year one guns still viable in Crucible, and throughout the rest of the game where PvE and where power matters, that year two guns start to make a difference and people need to go get them. I think that is a good idea. I'm in support of it as well.
And eventually in Destiny 2, I think that the exotics should get left behind as well, so they can do a fresh start with exotics with what they've learned so far, which is really going to piss off the Gjallarhorn.
Very. Hey, but maybe it's going to be so bad now that it won't even matter. Maybe.
Oh my goodness! Don't even say that.
So we're nearing on 2 hours now, but I definitely want to get to a few of the Twitter questions and comments, if possible. I'll start it off. I'm just gonna read through some of the comments that I'm getting on Twitter about the patch. Let's see. Well, I got people responding to me calling Briar out on the Gjallarhorn thing. Is that going to be a pack of beer or a pack of Red Bull? It's going to be beer.
Is there a Wolf Pack beer? Red Wolf? Do they still make Red Wolf?
Yeah. No, there was a really good one. Someone basically commented, "I'm so glad hand cannons got such a massive, or are getting a magazine nerf just so Thorn could get a slap on the wrist."
That was a fear, and I think that
Mario
we'll see.
There you go.
We'll see a response to the fact that legendary hand cannons are getting slapped.
Yeah, no,
because a lot of people were afraid that they would, and legendary hand cannons that bad? Yes, the range is just pulling back on the range is good. Yeah, but they're getting smacked around quite a bit, and
it's the magazine.
I would argue
thing.
They weren't overpowered.
It's the magazine thing. Why? I don't see a point in nerfing the magazine size. If you're already increasing if you're reducing the range, and then you're increasing the magazine size on scout rifles, and then making them better at long ranges, I think that's enough separation to make that distinction there for close, medium, and then medium long ranges. I think that's enough there. And then they also did the sights. The sights on hand cannons are going to be more further back, wider, and then
that could be good though.
Yeah,
I mean, if they're gonna be a close range weapon, don't you want a better field of view?
Exactly. That further defines it as a closer range weapon.
Yeah.
I'm just why do you feel the need to add the magazine thing on there as well? It's a completely unneeded nerf that they are applying to that as well.
It is now officially safe to throw away your devil you don't.
Yeah. I don't know, man. If you happen to have one with luck in the chamber and final round on it, and it only gets 3 rounds in the magazine, that thing will be a beast. Unless if it actually had good,
unless you miss a shot.
Yeah, unless you miss a shot, and it also doesn't have good impact either. So yeah, you can throw away your devil you don't. Bob Gogo asks, when will the patch 2.0 come out for Destiny? This is going to be speculation because we just don't know. We know the Taken King is coming out September 15th, so it'll be before that. My guess is it'll be kind of end of August-ish.
Yeah, my guess is 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks before.
Unless with House of Wolves, the update got delayed a little bit, so it came out a week before.
Yeah, it came out really close beforehand.
Yeah.
But
my guess is they're probably shooting for 2 weeks. So we still got all summer with the current meta, which is a bit disappointing.
Definitely.
Yeah, I wish it was a little bit sooner, but it is what it is.
Yeah, at least there's hope in the future. Unless you like legendary hand cannons.
Yeah. Oh, or Gjallarhorn.
Or Gjallarhorn.
Some of the questions revolving around the addressing of armor and like exotic armor, and how we think the Taken King will approach exotic quest lines and things like that. Any thoughts on our hopes? They're really questions about us to speculate how the Taken King will approach certain things. So the big one of the big questions is exotic armor and the quest lines.
Okay. Well, we know there's going to be quest lines for the new subclasses. We know there's going to be more quest lines for exotics in general, I believe. They weren't exactly specific with... They just said more... They basically said they liked how they did the exotic weapon quest lines in the game currently.
Specifically Thorn.
Specifically Thorn, yeah. But they wanted to expand on that more. So we don't know if it's just going to be for weapons, or maybe we'll see it for armor as well.
That'd be great.
Personally, I'm all for it. There's so much room to expand the story. I remember a long time ago, Briar, you were talking about how like each faction could have kind of an exotic associated with it, where
that'd be cool.
Once you like rank up to a certain point, not insanely high rank, like rank 10 or something, you could get a bounty to get a faction specific exotic piece of armor or weapon. So it would really make you feel like you earned it. You learned some more about the lore of that particular faction. As they said, they have a really great baseline for these for these bounties, just with the exotic weapon thing. But then they can just expand on it even more.
Imagine this, right? Imagine you get the Jade Rabbit bounty or quest line, and the first step in it, you learn a little bit about the people who made it. And in the second step, you learn a little bit about how they made it and the steps that were involved. And in the third step, you finally acquire it. You know, like that'd be really cool. You're learning more about this weapon as you go, and it builds up to finally getting it. That'd be cool.
Speaking of quests, I think that it's important to note at this time that 73HVML44 will get you the Red Bull quest line. Now, do you think that they're going to be doing more of those types of things where the quest lines will be exclusive and brought out with different things, or is this just a marketing advertising thing?
I think it's just a marketing / advertising thing. Okay, so here's what I actually think it is, man. Bungie knew that they're not going to have any content for the summer, so they did the Red Bull thing to keep the hype train going for this break.
It's a pure marketing.
Yeah, it really does actually feel like a pure marketing
I think we
thing.
will undoubtedly see this happen again in Destiny.
Destiny's pretty much sponsored by Activision. So, yeah, we're probably going to see something
There's
like that
no
again.
question. This was a
So moving on to
success.
Another Twitter question is, will the Planet Destiny team be attempting a world first with the new raid, and should we be able, are they going to be able to watch it on stream?
Personally, I think that we should definitely be attempting a world first, just to have fun with it, just to hang out and stream and everything.
I think that's a fantastic
Yeah, that's
idea.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, like
Take a day off work, or actually, I'll probably be in school, so yeah. I'm sure I can.
Even better.
Get my
even better.
homework
You skip class all the time anyway. I know I did.
Exactly.
I think that's a great idea. We should start planning that now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. So the answer to that is maybe. It's a super good idea, and we're gonna try to put it together.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to put it together. I'm going to be at
question-
the midnight. I'm assuming there's going to be a midnight release. I hope there is. I'm going to be at the midnight release at like a close GameStop nearby, just so I can get my collector's edition ASAP. So hopefully they don't release the raid like first thing.
Every other raid has been delayed, so that's probably just so people don't have to play catch up right from day one if they don't have the funds and stuff like that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2 weeks for the Vault of Glass normal?
At least.
No. The Vault of Glass was like first week, right? It was like the
it was like
right?
it released on the 18th or something like that. Like literally 1 weekend.
Yeah.
All right. So this one's specifically for Patrick.
Okay.
I mean Varix.
Yes.
Can we have
Guardian.
a weekly section on the podcast where we ask Varix questions about the current topics like gun balancing?
Fortunately, I have been associated with a Mr. Fruit, you say? There is a series coming, dedicated entirely on its own for such questions, taking me away from my prison. Yes,
Interesting.
Guardians.
That's a little preview, a little hint? That's something to come?
Teaser, preview,
A little teaser,
as
yeah.
you would say.
So this one then, staying on the fruit train, staying within the fruit bowl, I guess. MTash.
Yes.
A question came from one of our Twitter followers that says, ask MTash if he enjoyed facing off against Fruit and the Dream Team, what was it like?
Okay, so that was an absolute blast. More seeing the reactions after, because with Triple and Hovey and me, like, we were just playing, having some fun, and then to hear some of the rage, some of the, oh my god, it's cool, and it feels really fun to be on the other end of that and know that you were able to be part of a pretty big community video, because, I mean, those things got 150,000 views on the first day and stuff. Like, they were pretty popular.
You basically helped create one of the best Destiny videos out there by just mercilessly killing someone over and over again.
And I mean, I think the big thing to say, if these guys end up listening to this, is all three of them are very stand-up, nice guys. I mean, Mr. Fruit, Christian, he's at 200,000 subscribers now, and he's the most down-to-earth guy you'll chat with. He loves to play other games, and he's just in school still, or he might be graduating this year or in the next couple of years here. But
he's still in school.
A student. He's just like me. We're like a year or two apart, and he's not cocky, and he's really nice. And he put like the links in the description to all of everyone who's in the video in their channels. So he even gave credit to us, so that means a lot. That helped Hovey grow quite a bit. I think from the start of those videos, he got like 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers.
Got that Mr. Fruit bump.
Yeah, and everyone thinks he's a robot now, so we're actually having...
That sounds dirty.
We're having YouTube investigate him just to see, because we don't want a big YouTuber to be a robot. That's just not really fair.
Definitely.
Right?
Every time I stream because I've been doing a series where we help at the reset. We've been Hovey and I have been helping people get through help get through the Trials of Osiris. And we've done it for the last 2 weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. But the comments inevitably on the Twitch channel it's like beep boop 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 boop, boop. And then people like just talking in like ones and zeros.
What did you say about my mother?
Yes, the thing is, Hovey reacts to him, so that's what's scary. He's just like, what do you say?
Just stop that. Yeah, I know. Like he reads that. One other question is, do you think and this might be something that's close to Patrick's heart. Do you think Bungie will make changes to Prison of Elders and the Trials of Osiris before the release of the Taken King? And if not, what will they make to them afterwards?
I don't think they will make any changes to either before the Taken King comes out. I hope they do, because I want to know what the hell happens with the Queen and her storyline. You only see her for 10 seconds in this entire expansion, and she was featured in the cinematic. Yeah, I hope they add more, but realistically, I don't believe they will. If they do add stuff after, I could see them doing like another stage of Prison of Elders. Like, hey, I found these taken in the reef, so I put them in the prison. Varix getting in there and putting some taken in the prison, maybe or maybe a special taken wing in the prison now. For Trials of Osiris, I really hope that they add maybe like another playlist within Trials of Osiris for like if you've gone 9-0, then you can go against other people that have gone 9-0 and like actually have really good competitive matches, hopefully. That might be something fun to try.
That's a great idea.
And the one other thing is I hope that they take the matchmaking that they have for Trials of Osiris and apply it to everything, where it's connection-based, and then add skill-based on top of that, so I can finally stop getting match made with people like on the North Pole, who are having their internet information sent by pigeon service. It seems like.
Do you guys think the Iron Banner has actually gotten worse, or do you think it's just because we've gotten used to the better connections and trials that it feels worse?
I think it's gotten worse.
I think it's both.
Well, I think the gap, we're more aware of it now, but I think it's gotten a little bit worse, and we're totally more aware of it because of trials.
Yeah.
It's like playing a totally different game. Like, it's like playing something that's 30 frames or per second, then switching to a game that's 60 frames per second.
Ugh.
It feels like that. There's an adjustment when you go and you play two different games that are like the old Halo, and then you go switch over to like Battlefield or some other game that has a faster refresh rate, Black Ops or it's Call of Duty. It feels like that sort of adjustment period. It feels like when you're going from Trials to Iron Banner that you have to make that adjustment, and it takes a few games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still super laggy. Like, let's go on to a couple more questions. I have two more. Does that sound good? We got a ton of people who asked us, and I think we covered a lot about those balancing questions. And unfortunately, if we didn't get to your question during this podcast, I'll save some of the good questions for next week. A couple different things that we have just to speculate on is, what could Bungie do to expand on factions? And what do you think they're going to do with factions in the Taken King?
I would like to see quests specific to factions. Maybe you can't get your faction rep until you actually complete that quest, where you actually learn a little bit about the faction instead of just having to go into the grimoire to read about it.
Right.
I'd also like to see, instead of faction-specific armor that you basically use to get to your light level and then promptly ditch, I'd like to see it actually useful for something. Maybe it's something very specific, but useful for something, so it was actually worth holding on to.
I've seen some stuff where you can get like perks potentially from the things. It would be cool if some of the factions had an identity. Like, what if Future War Cult was the snipers faction and it gave buffs to them? Stuff like that. I think that would add just a little bit of a dimension where people might be like, "Oh, you're a dead orbit," and get a little bit of animosity between them. But
yeah, they have specific like discipline, intellect.
Yeah, they have specific roles. I remember when everyone was at the start of the game going Future War Cult, and I'm like, I don't want intellect, discipline. I want more strength for throwing knives, so I went with Dead Orbit at the start.
But I mean, ultimately, you ditch all that gear anyway.
Yeah, you do.
Especially now with the exile gear.
Mm-hmm.
So I think faction. One of the interesting things you guys brought up is faction-specific quest lines.
Definitely.
And it would be interesting if the T43V 4W7W, the Red Wolf quest line, would be one that would get you to a specific understanding of one of the factions or another, if it was attached to like Dead Orbit or New Monarchy or something like that, and got you.
Definitely be the most extreme faction.
It would be the extreme. Yeah. So I guess the last and a good way to finish this off, I get, is a question where very bluntly it's asked, are you guys burnt out on Destiny?
I'll take this one first. Yes, I absolutely am. I generally am only logging in to do videos. I had someone call me out on Twitter and say, how can you be the one to speak knowledgeably about this game when it looks like you don't even play it, looking at your play history? And you're kind of right. Yeah, I really only play to review weapons and do, the weekly updates, the random videos that I have to put out or to stream, because otherwise I've put so much time into this game, and right now it's just not in a place where I want to log in every day and go kill people in the Crucible because Thorn is so prevalent. I don't want to log in and go run Prison of Elders because I feel like it's a wasted experience. I don't want to do any of that right now in the game. So I'm doing, as Bungie said, I'm going out and I'm playing other games. Destiny's...
So what else are you playing right now?
I streamed The Witcher last night, or this morning. I can't remember. I streamed The Witcher 3 for a little bit. Just hung out with some people in the chat. I only have to do that. I downloaded Rocket League. I'm looking forward to playing that on my personal channel. I'm doing some Let's Plays of games that I just enjoy playing. I'm doing one of Bastion right now, State of Decay, Bloodborne, Child of Light. Like, I'm just having fun playing other shit.
You know what's funny, that Patrick, is that you brought that up. Literally, I've been waiting. Last night, I was sitting there staring at my character and wondering if I should just go grind bounties and stuff like that. And I said, screw it, man. I went to Orbit, went to the PlayStation Store, and I bought The Witcher 3.
Fantastic.
As soon as this podcast is over, I'm going to go play The Witcher 3.
No, you're not. You're going to go stream.
Hey, I am set up now, so if you want me to take over, Mikey's got you covered.
Hey, Mikey, you want to take over?
I can't. My girlfriend's here.
Aww.
I can't.
Oh, Mikey's got you covered. Unless the girlfriend tells him he
all of a
can't.
sudden. Yeah, so, MTash, Briar, how are you guys burnt out?
Brian, you go first.
All right, I'll go first. I was actually more burnt out before House of Wolves came out. When it was Dark Below, I was kind of like, all right, I really want the House of Wolves. That Crota's End hard mode raid was wearing my ass out because you never knew if that raid was going to take you a half an hour or an hour and a half because all the glitches you could hit in that. With the House of Wolves, I'm really enjoying Trials of Osiris. I'm still enjoying Prison of Elders, although it's wearing off a little quicker than I'd like it to. But I really like how... I'm lucky because streaming is new to me, and that's really invigorated my play time with Destiny. That's a lot of fun. And I really like bringing in like newer people into Prison of Elders because the challenge ups considerably when you are bringing level 31s through 32, even if you're a 34.
Right.
Because they die constantly.
Right.
So that kind of stuff is still fun for me.
I took a new player.
But I do. I play Rocket League all the time. I love Rocket League. I play other games all the time. Borderlands 2. Destiny is not the only game on my plate, but it's the one I probably play the most.
As for me, like I'm probably one of the laziest Destiny players. When the raids come out, I will do it 1 or 2 times. If I don't get geared out, too bad. I'm done. I'm not going to touch it again. Luckily, I've been pretty lucky, and I do get geared out pretty quickly. But like even Prison of Elders, I don't think I even tried it for the first couple weeks because I just don't care. I like to play PvP a lot, and I guess that's why I'm not really burnt out too much, is I have never been the guy that goes and grinds a bounty. Like, I think I've done 5 bounties in my life. If it's not on the way to doing a quest or something, nah, I'm not that guy. So that's helped me a bit. I'll probably still play the PvP quite a bit just because I do like killing people. In video games games predominantly.
I mean, I shoot people in real life too, but I use a camera for it.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's about
see
it.
The guy made a real life Thorn that shoots bullets.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I did actually. That's really interesting.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's it. That's all I was gonna say. I like. I'm good to go still with the game. I just don't play it super in depth. Like, there's still people that are grinding bounties and doing every patrol mission they see, and I commend them because that is dedication to the game.
There's something that is to be said. I think it was when Luke Smith was interviewed by Giant Bomb at E3, and this is something that I share with him. It's okay to put a game down if you're not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying Destiny right now, for the most part. Yes, I still enjoy playing the game, but I don't have that drive to come back and play every single day, every hour of every single day. So just put it up, put it on the shelf, play something else. I can guarantee you that they're going to try to make the Taken King worth your money. And if you're still on the fence about that, just wait a couple weeks until after it comes out. Clearly there's this big time gap in between all the expansions, so you don't have to play it right when it comes out. There's nothing
Come
wrong
watch
with that.
a couple of videos on Planet Destiny, see if it attracts.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I think I'm at the point where, I was deleting characters. I was happy to delete characters with everything on them, a complete class wipe. Every exotic, every bit for that character. I had a warlock that had everything on it, and I was perfectly happy deleting that character simply because it allowed me the opportunity to replay the game and get that stuff again. And it's sad, because within a short period of time of me wiping an entire class set of armor and exotics and everything, I've got that warlock with almost all the exotics back again, just from Xur selling them in drops at Nightfalls and stuff. So I'm at a point where I love the game very much. I'm enjoying the hell out of Trials of Osiris. I think that's the only thing that's really bringing me back with that excitement. is Trials. I'm not really all that interested in Prison of Elders anymore, simply because it's not random enough.
Yep.
And it's very methodical, and it doesn't give me that excitement like it should. And the raids are still fun for me, but not in the way that they used to be. They're more, like Briar's saying, grabbing somebody that maybe hasn't done it before, or doing different challenges. Dotto joining us and jumping in and doing a challenge has always made it fun, and it really brings up the point where I desperately want us to have those social type custom games and game modes like Sparrow Racing and different things. It really brings home the fact that all of this could be solved by giving the community the ability to create, and how creative we can be, just to, for example, the many things that have come out of Forge World or Forge within Halo. I think that all this time could be taken up by really creative people producing stuff. So I lament that we don't have custom modes, and for that I am a bit burnt out. I'm still excited about the game. I'm still excited about Taken King, and I know that we're going to have great stuff in play. But I'm also really excited to fire up The Witcher.
Yep.
Yeah. Tuesday night is my raid night. That's the guaranteed night that I'm going to get together with the Milky Sirloins, and we're going to go out raiding. And I look forward to that every week because I know that I'm going to be laughing my way through that night.
The community, honestly, one of the few things that keeps me coming back is the community. And that can be said for any game. That's why I stuck around with World of Warcraft.
Oh,
we were at the end, and I still had to do it.
Killed it.
Got it.
Yeah, that's why I stuck around with World of Warcraft. I had friends that I had had for 10 years in that game, and I still talk to them because they're friends. And in Destiny, I still log on. I talk with the Merchants of Death clan and just have fun. The people is why games can survive. And fortunately, Destiny does have a very good community behind it.
Yeah.
So,
but those guys can travel from game to game too. I play Rocket League with my Milky Sirloin buddies. I play Borderlands with my Milky Sirloin buddies. These are all guys I met in Destiny, but they all play other games too.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I think we should probably end the podcast for now.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Wait, there's another weekly update. Page
Nope,
2.
nope.
Da, da, da.
There's seriously another
5
weekly
hours.
update.
We're on 2 hours.
there,
We're
but
nearly
we're
two
on
and a
2
half
hours
hours in.
30 minutes now. I feel like we've said enough this week.
If someone
Thank you.
makes a 2.5 hour video of them watching this video, I will give you a Red Bull code.
I'll double up on that offer.
Yeah, they'll get a third one from me. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
I offer nothing than my thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. By the way, guys, I really appreciate it. It's nice to shoot le shit with you guys.
No
and
problem,
chat
man.
about all these different changes.
No problem. I think this was a good one to have you on with all the PvP discussions. Anyway.
Very cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this 2.5 hour long podcast. I know we certainly it didn't feel like it was 2.5 hours. That was a quick podcast to record on our end. Anyway, this has been Patrick Casey with Planet Destiny. If you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at Holtzman_PD. If you want to send me footage for my Holtzman's Just the Tips video, you can send it to askholtzman@gmail.com. And that'll be on my personal YouTube channel, which you can find on the sidebar of the Planet Destiny main YouTube page.
I've been the Briar Rabbit. You can find me at the Briar Rabbit channel on YouTube, where I rarely makes videos over 2 hours and 15 minutes. You can find me on Twitter at the Briar Rabbit, and I'm streaming on Planet Destiny's Twitch channel every Wednesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So check me out over there too.
And this has been Pope Bear. Follow me on Twitter at Pope Bear. And you can also find me on the Planet Destiny Twitch channel. I change up my stream times throughout the week, but you can typically find me in the evenings on Pacific Standard Time, playing Trials of Osiris and raiding with viewers and the like.
And to end it off here, my name is MTashed, and I like to kill people. That's what 90% of my content is about, and also teaching you to get better at it yourself. So I have some Crucible School videos. I've got some montage-type stuff on my channel. So just search my name, mtashed, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch, same everywhere. I'm going to be starting with the Planet Destiny Twitch team, I guess you could say, on Sunday and Monday nights. As long as it's working out with the schedules, we're still looking at it. But as it sits right now, I'm almost perfectly set up to start streaming with Planet Destiny. So I'll see you guys around there.
Awesome.
And that's it.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to MTash for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.